Japan! Guys, this is so much. It's a juicy one today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. If you're returning or if you're new to episode number 92 of Hyperspace Hype. We've been going for 3 years. Please stay. We've been going for so long. But anyway, we got so much to discuss, break down everything that happened at Star Wars Celebration Europe this past week. Unfortunately, me and Evan did not get a chance to go to Europe because some money. But, we're looking forward to the future, and we'll be discussing about all that and what we potentially see at the next con, as well as discuss where it's going to be. But we're excited to be discussing all the news that dropped as late as today. We're right off the heels of the convention, and joining me is my co-host Evan. How you doing today?
Doing great, doing fantastic. Glad to be here. Yeah, this Monday one was very interesting because this is the first time I didn't just take everything in. I was at work, so I was doing things in between. But we got a lot of fun stuff. We got a lot of fun Visions, Bad Batch stuff today. And yeah, I'm excited for next year, not next year. And I'm excited for 2025. I am making it a point to be there because I had huge FOMO this weekend. Just not being able to go there, not being able to see you guys or my friends, meet new people I haven't seen before, at least in the flesh. So that's going to be exciting to see. And, I've always wanted to go to Japan for the longest time. I've been a huge anime fan since 2003.
None of that. None of that.
Hey, Derpy, get out of here. Yeah, we talk. Actually, stay, like, and subscribe.
Yeah. Oh, you think you can buy your way back in with Visions? Maybe for Evan.
We'll talk about the Raid film because I am very excited to see that. But to be fair to Derpy, My timeline, was very conflicted about that one as well. Not just because of the anti-sequel trilogy people, but just our traumatic experience. Our traumatic experience with how they ended that. Just are we ready to jump back into more? Are we ready? Are we confident? We'll talk about all that. But yeah, dude, we got some of our predictions came true, right? We got Ahsoka stuff. Bad Batch.
Adam Driver came out during the villains panel.
Adam Driver came out during the Villains of the Sequel Trilogy panel. He said, "Please buy my movie 65."
They blindsided us. We thought we were getting a Solo sequel, but then it said Ben Solo, and we were like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, that was amazing. That was probably my favorite announcement of it. No, didn't happen.
Can you imagine the blindside? We were there. We for a second, oh, it's a Solo sequel. It's Ben Solo. Oh shit,
dude, that would be crazy if it just does that, and then the title comes down Ben. It's oh shit. But yeah, and then of course I'm a huge publishing fan of everything Marvel Comics, Dark Horse Comics, and especially the High Republic. So those panels were very exciting for me as well, especially the High Republic because I was not expecting how much they were going to reveal. But it was great. It was great. I had a great time. Soaking everything in this weekend, and I can't wait to dive in with you and just finally have a discussion about all this instead of just reacting like I was to all the tweets and reactions over the weekend. Because most of my stuff has just been "Hey, that was cool! Oh my gosh, holy shit! Yes, awesome, cool! Retweet." So now I get to finally talk about everything that I liked and didn't like or have reservations about. So we'll see. Before we start, though, overall. As a fan who wasn't there, it was a little disappointing again how they're not streaming the 11 a.m. big ones. The showcase panel wasn't streamed. I get the trailer thing. Even as somebody who wants to see these trailers in HD, I get not showing what did they show on Thursday? I get not showing the Acolyte stuff. I get not showing the Andor stuff. Andor comes out next August. They have a lot of stuff to cook. It's 20 seconds. It's not that bad to miss out on it. Acolyte,
and that's what makes it feel so much more special for the people that do make it in that room, and make the trek out there to commit and get there as early as possible at the convention to really get the seats to make it into that room, because as we know, Evan, we don't always get in, even though some people say the line is capped, and it wasn't.
I saw a tweet this weekend where it says "Oh, sorry, the Galaxy stage line is capped." I should have posted under the tweet. Don't believe them. Go to the line, see for yourself.
One way in.
One way in. Like, come on. Or more than one way in, actually. More than one way in, because never trust the line's capped. Because we got told 2 or 3 days in a row, hey, yeah, this line's capped. We walk out, and that line goes in. So, yeah.
We were in the distinct benchmark that I took notice is like there was somebody who was cosplaying as Jar Jar behind us in line.
Mm-hmm.
They said everybody in front of us was capped. And guess who got in? Jar Jar got in, man.
And like 10 people behind him. I was like, come on, you got to be kidding me.
But you know, all the best to Jar Jar.
Yeah,
and we're gonna get into the first topic today. I figured we could kick off with film as they did. Well, I think it was like, you know, pretty back and forth. But let's start off with the films.
Yeah, let's start with the big news from the Lucasfilm Showcase, which was Friday at 11 a.m. You know, for a while there, we thought they weren't going to show film stuff because they talked about like Ahsoka, Acolyte, Mando, Skeleton Crew. And we're like, okay, great, TV stuff. Even Molly Damon was like, oh, they're not going to do film. And I was like, oh, come on. But then they went a little bit over time, and then they revealed a lot of the film stuff, which people have been wondering. And it did confirm the rumor that there were going to be 3 film announcements, and we did indeed get 3 film announcements. Yeah. Let's talk about it.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny coming out. We actually already covered that, so if you'd like to check that out, please check out our latest episode of My Cup of Tea, a all-inclusive film podcast. TV and film both included. Please go check that out. But staying on target, let's kick off with James Mangold since he's technically going to the beginning.
There were 3 films announced. First off, it was James Mangold doing Dawn of the Jedi, and then there was other 2 that we'll get to in a second. But yeah, so James Mangold, director of big films such as 310 to Yuma, Logan, most notably, Ford versus Ferrari, one of the big dad movies of the 2010s. And then upcoming, he has, of course, Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny coming out this June. And then, of course, up next, he has a Bob Marley film. And he's writing a Swamp Thing project as well, confirmed by James Gunn this weekend as well, and himself. To Collider. But yeah, this one, there was a whole timeline that was shown. I wish we could probably find the image if I can look on Twitter right quick.
I just
of the entire timeline.
I googled Star Wars Celebration era timeline, and it's pretty
oh, you got it
popping up. Well, not for a screen share, but I got it for the it's an easy Google search.
We can screen share it too. It's pretty cool looking.
Yeah, by all means, screen share.
But yeah, what was I gonna say? But yeah, so James Mangold's doing Dawn of the Jedi, which is really cool. So this is the beginning of that timeline they've shown, and the timeline makes sense given that it's everything that we talked about. It's Dawn of the Jedi, which is the first part of the timeline. Apparently, this is going to be 25,000 years before anything we've known about the Skywalker trilogy. And James had some comments. God, I should have been prepared. I wish I wrote down the comments that he was saying, but he was basically discussing how it's basically the origins of the Force, origins of like what he's going to be discovering with the Force, the Jedi as a whole, actually coming into existence here with Dawn of the Jedi, and then just the whole discovery. He compared it to like Ten Commandments, and other religious movies where it's just like it's this discovery of this religion, of this Force, and how the conflict arises from like who's going to be involved in that early onset with the religion, all that kind of stuff. And the cool thing was that the image for Dawn of the Jedi was showcased with the dyad that was showcased in The Last Jedi, which I thought was very cool. So yeah, he's going to be that could be a little tease. It could just be like, it could just be an image.
I did send you the timeline in the DM.
There we go. So yeah, I'm very excited to see what that's all about. Let's see here. Boom. So yeah, this is Dawn of the Jedi at the far left here. Again, very similar, basically a copy of the dyad symbol that was showcased in The Last Jedi on Octo. Does that mean we're going to Octo? Not necessarily, but it could tease that we could be seeing some kind of dyad. That could be an interesting conflict within the movie itself, where these two dyads, these two beings on opposite sides, could tease possibly, like, are we going to see the origins of the light side and the dark side of the Force in this movie? I would assume so. So again, 25,000 years, dyad. He talks about like the religious metaphors that he's going to be implementing here as well.
I would love if it maybe like went a route of like a Cain and Abel situation.
Exactly. Yeah. Let me see here. So we have Old Republic, which was interestingly enough the only era that was not showcased in what?
No, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
It was the only era not showcased throughout the entire celebration, or that we know of in canon at all, really, aside from some metaphors, or aside from some mentions of like Bane and Revan. Because when people talk about Old Republic, for people that don't know, the characters that spring up are Bane, Malgus, Revan and Malgus, same thing, or in the same timeline, and then Bane's a couple hundred years later. But they're all in that Old Republic era, one of the most famous eras of all of Star Wars, because the video games themselves have been so popular. So it's very interesting that we didn't see anything from Old Republic. My idea is that like the High Republic authors eventually could be having a Old Republic publishing initiative. That's my big theory that came out of this weekend, where I'll talk about it some more based on Kevin's comments during the High Republic panel, but I'm like, they have been seeding a lot of things, like just throughout the books in general, from Phase 2 and Phase 1 of the High Republic, where they're like, well, a couple of thousand years ago, these alien species used to be getting along just fine, but then now it's chaotic during the High Republic era. Like, they teased stuff that happened in the past within the High Republic book so far, so who knows? I think the Old Republic as a publishing initiative after 2025 could be really fun. But yeah, and then we have the High Republic, which is like, the GOAT. I love the High Republic so much. All the Phase 1.
Oh, me too. Big fan.
Books. I know you're a huge fan of Light of the Jedi. I know you finished that one as well. And you're
just I got it. We're going.
Exactly.
We're going.
So yeah, Fall of the Jedi, which is the prequel era. Reign of the Empire, original trilogy, Age of Rebellion. Or sorry, Reign of the Empire is Bad Batch.
You said the 19-year gap there.
The 19-year gap. Bad Batch, Solo, Kenobi, Andor, that kind of stuff. Age of Rebellion is the original trilogy. New Republic is that era with the Mando. The Mandoverse basically is all the New Republic. This is where Dave Filoni's film, which we'll talk about soon, is going to be set in. Rise of the First Order, a sequel trilogy. And then New Jedi Order, which is another film we'll get to, by Shamin Chinoida. I forget her last name. I'm going to butcher it. But she's doing the New Jedi Order film, which is set 15 years after Rise of the First Order. So again, lastly, with Dawn of the Jedi, I put up some Mangle's quotes here. He talks about how it's inspired by Ben-Hur. That was the other film I couldn't remember. Ben-Hur and the Ten Commandments. It's a chance to tell the entire story of its own. The birth of the Force. Where did it come from? How was it found? Who was the first Jedi? So just those questions alone are things that he's going to be like pitching and having ideas for. And it sounds very cool. Very cool ideas there.
Just thinking about like what that time period would even look like. It's probably going to be drastically different. Do you think it would be maybe non-futuristic? Maybe we're not in the era of ships and holograms. Maybe we don't even have like lightsabers developed yet.
I would assume we don't have lightsabers fully developed yet. Based off of what like Legends, lightsabers weren't around when the first when this era was talked about in Legends material. They had like those. Wasn't called proto sabers. Maybe it was called proto sabers.
I think so. They were like they had like a battery.
They had like those battery things in Legends. Some had just like swords in general, right? Like actual swords.
Right.
And then so that's why I assume hyperspace is a relatively new thing in the High Republic. So like
well.
people were charting hyperspace lanes in phase 2 of the High Republic still. Like there's a lot of stuff that is undiscovered in the High Republic. So the Old Republic, I assume, is even more undiscovered. And Dawn of the Jedi is even more undiscovered. Whereas like these, I'm assuming there's like isolated worlds. You can't just go from Coruscant. Like there's no big Coruscant yet in Dawn of the Jedi, right? Coruscant is big, thriving in the Old Republic, as far as we know from Legends, Old Republic and Coruscant, all that kind of stuff. But Dawn of the Jedi, I don't know if Coruscant's like the big hub. I don't know if there's like a central, what's it called, core worlds yet in Dawn of the Jedi.
Yeah, do you think? I mean, I feel like we got to space travel. It's Star Wars, you know. It's Star Wars.
Yeah. We're definitely gonna get space travel, but like,
we'll be at least like a tad bit further than like where our reality is now. I'm sure we're not gonna be like, because even like we're like far away from whatever Star Wars is. So
yeah,
to that degree.
So yeah, I just assume like we're gonna get a lot of ship fights and stuff like that, but like I don't think we're gonna be like hyperspace, like no. It could be the first Star Wars film without hyperspace, right? That'd be very interesting.
Probably. It's funny because like just thinking about it, you know, when they say all like the biblical allegories of like ideas of the story, like my brain just thinks like there's no technology, everybody's in robes, like that's all I can think of. But like just logically, because it is like the science fiction fantasy that it is, you know, there it has to be some travel elements of space.
Yeah, there's gonna be some travel elements. It's just gonna be just like
aliens for sure,
like tons of aliens, tons of different species. And yeah, people can like travel all the time without hyperspace. That happens a lot in Star Wars, where it's just like, oh yeah, we don't have enough like material, gas, whatever it's called, to get to like one hyperspace lane to the next. So we're just gonna have to fly in free space, which is dangerous, especially in the High Republic already. It's like dangerous to go places without hyperspace because you could get attacked by the Nile or any other pirate in open space. So that's why people use hyperspace a lot, until the Nile kind of corrupted hyperspace. But anyway, so Dawn of the Jedi is very interesting. I'm very excited. This is probably my most anticipated of the announced movies. And if I had to take a guess, given some of the comments that Kathleen Kennedy has made over the weekend, I would assume this is our second project, the 2027 project.
That makes sense, especially since Mangold's busy with Swamp Thing.
Mangold's busy with Swamp Thing, at least writing it.
And he's just off the heels of Indy, so
he's filming Bob Marley later this year, probably to come out next year. So the only project ahead of him right now is Bob Marley, and then Star Wars / Swamp Thing. If he's not directing Swamp Thing, he's even more open for the 2027 movie.
Sure. I would say in terms of Mangold's film, it's my most anticipated original project by far.
Big time. It's just like, this is what I want from Star Wars. And I get people who are nervous where it's like, do I want them to over explain? Like that's some of the counter arguments to this project announcement. It's like, do you want to over explain?
I feel like it's a greater consequence of over explaining when we're been doing what we've been doing for 40 plus years now, just being in that 19-year gap, right? Like just that, in between episodes 3 and 4, we've been in there for a while. And we know practically every corner of that galaxy to a T. But I think what's so beautiful about the different elements when dealing with stuff like that, I think that's why it was so refreshing to have the High Republic for so many people, is because it's so detached from everything we know. Even though we're kicking off in terms of the Jedi and we have a familiarity with that, there's so much new to explore that it feels fresh enough that you don't feel like you're in that bubble.
Yeah, I agree. It's so fresh, so that there's so many open ideas. So I wouldn't say people should be worried about like over explaining stuff, because it's like we don't know what's there to over explain in general, right? Besides just like the idea of the Force. And I don't think he's gonna get too deep and be like over explain the concept of the Force, because George has always been like, the Force has always been there, it's always been around us. It's not like somebody goes into a well and discovers the Force. The Force is always there. It's just like, as we see with the dyad, the light and the dark, that hasn't always been there.
Right.
So the idea of like the cosmic force, the natural force, all that kind of stuff is very, very interesting, very open, and most of all, like you said, Nathan, it's fresh, it's new.
Mm.
This is so exciting. And if it's successful, there's going to be more books, comics, movies, TV shows within that era as well, which is what I have to say for all these movies. Like, there's a lot of more room to expand upon it, minus one of them. So yeah, what's next do you have for us, Nathan?
Dice roll. You want to do you do Dave or do Daisy?
Let's do Dave.
Okay, Dave.
Wow, did you have that ready?
I made all these right before you got here. I was like, I'm typing all these down.
Is there a button for Dave or a button for Daisy? Or did I know you were gonna do that? Okay, that's awesome. Whatever. So Dave Filoni.
Good guy.
He's kind of a new face to Star Wars. No kidding.
He is the apprentice, which he was to George.
The heir apprentice to George Lucas.
Heir apparent.
Heir apparent to George Lucas, right? He used to do Lucasfilm. Anyways, so Dave Filoni is going to be doing a movie that culminates, or that serves as a culmination to the events that have been going on in what they've termed the Mandoverse, which I do not like the concept of the Mandoverse.
I feel like we've heard about it for so long. I'm just, I'm used to it now.
I'm used to it too, but it just feels so isolating. It's called like, hey, that's the Mandoverse. Or it's like, they're all Star Wars. So like, why is one thing called the Mandoverse? And
sure. Fair. I guess,
it feels so isolating in the sense when I keep calling it Mandoverse. It's like,
I guess you just got to view it in the sense of like whenever we watch one of the animated shows and we're watching like a set arc. Kind of like that, but it's a bigger arc, a bigger scale of an arc. But also, if you also don't want to feel so confined in that world, they have clearly given us so many options of different eras to be excited about.
Exactly. So this era is going to be again set during right here, the New Republic. I don't think the movie will be called Star Wars: The New Republic because that would be weird. But again, this is going to be culminating in the events that's been teased so far with all the Mandalorian projects headed by Jon Favreau and Filoni. So this includes the Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and that's it so far. And Skeleton Crew to a degree. Even Skeleton Crew, as we'll get to, is a little bit not standalone-ish. It's in the same era, has some of the same characters within it. But I don't know if any member of the Skeleton Crew is going to be in New Republic. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself there.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible, exactly. But yeah, this is going to be set, or at least Kevin Kennedy, at least that I learned today, is saying this is 6 or 7 years away. So this is at least, or this has to be right now, the furthest away of the announced projects.
Well, there's I guess like in terms of that quote, there's two ways to view it because I think with how the wording was, it was either like a lot of people were saying like it's 6-7 years away starting now, but then there's some others that were viewing it as like 6 to 7 years starting with the kickoff of Mando back on season 1.
Oh, really?
So like we could be like in the middle of that journey and it could only be a few years away from that actual endpoint. I don't know.
I should have watched it. I read that quoting. I was like,
because I remember like some people were going around looking at that, but then like looking at the actual quote, it did kind of read more like we're already in the midst. Because if we are 6 or 7 years away, that's a lot of extra seasons to fill in between these shows.
That's true. Okay, interesting.
And frankly, where we're at with and we'll be breaking down the Ahsoka trailer, but based on its setup, I think the big culmination for the film is going to be an adaptation event of Heir of the Empire. I don't think they're going to keep that to the Disney Plus Ahsoka series. I think it'll be like the end all story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like we'll get to it in the Ahsoka trailer, but she does say like Heir of the Empire, and as soon as I saw like he's doing the movie, it makes sense. This is his heir to the Empire, big all out battle set in the New Republic era. We've known ever since Thrawn was teased in Mando season 2. I was like, oh, they're prepping for the Heir to the Empire. I think most Star Wars fans knew it's like you're teasing Thrawn, You have Ahsoka, which is taking over like kind of the Luke Skywalker role in this Heir to the Empire. Actually, for people that don't know what the Heir to the Empire is, they're like, "What is Heir to the Empire?" Heir to the Empire is this trilogy of books
by Timothy Zahn.
Who is still writing in the canon Disney Star Wars. He's still writing Thrawn via Thrawn prequel novels, Thrawn novels that took place during Rebels.
He has a new canon trilogy now, right?
Yeah, he has, I think, 2 canon Thrawn trilogies at this point.
There's 6 Thrawn?
I think there's 5 or 6, right? Am I wrong? Because I know there's like
might be right.
The OG Thrawn trilogy, or not the OG, but like the Thrawn trilogy started in like 2017. And then there was like there's more going about his past and like the Thrawn Ascendancy trilogy.
Right.
So it could be 4 to 5. There's more than 3 basically Thrawn novels that have been happening in canon so far.
Yeah, I was doing my best to look into Heir of the Empire. I need to do like bigger deep dives, but at best, like I was like off the cuff. I went to Star Wars Explained channel, and he has like a quick minute recaps of each book of the trilogy. So I was like going through that. I know there's like big subplots in terms of like rebuilding the Empire. They brought like the whole clone initiative back with like the actual the clones we know, Tamora Morrison, D. Bradley Baker clone, into the fold. And I don't know if they go that far because I mean, granted, we are doing a lot of stuff with cloning in the current state of Mando, so I imagine they're doing some sort of thing. And it's funny because we were always thinking like, oh, it's something with Grogu and it's probably connecting with Palpatine and in episode 9, but now that we know there is a clear roadmap to Heir of the Empire, I'm like, well, maybe it is just to make an army again. I don't know.
Wait, make an army for what again? Sorry.
Just for the Empire, because with the state of it.
So possibly, yeah, and that would make the most sense. But what's interesting is that we know Dave Filoni has had some conflicts with canon. And people are not happy with him going against some of the canon publishing stuff, especially with Tales of the Jedi.
I know there was like some like discourse with like some of the Ahsoka novel stuff, but like has the changes he's made been very severe, or have they been pretty mild?
Not severe, but it's just to a degree where it's just it's like there's a bug. To a degree that where it's like, is he paying attention to the canon at all? Because there are changes where it's like unnecessary, in my opinion. Changes to fit like his narrative, basically, that he wants to tell in an episode or that he wants to tell in a story. But so far, like we got him introducing Thrawn in Rebels. He was the first one to do it. And then Timothy Zahn came back in as I was looking up. So there's an Imperial trilogy, which is written as Mandalorian or as Rebels season 3 was going on. The Thrawn trilogy started. And then we have the Ascendancy trilogy, which takes place in the past, and it goes over the origins of Thrawn and his ascendancy within the unknown regions. And this started in 2020. There was another one in 2021. So yeah, it's Thrawn Chaos Rising, Thrawn Ascendancy Greater Good, and then Thrawn Ascendancy Lesser Evil. 2 of those within the same year. So we have 3 Thrawn trilogy, 3 Thrawn prequel books, and 3 Thrawn Imperial books as well. But my thing is, Nathan, is like he's so evil. He's evil in Rebels, right? But then when you read the Imperial trilogy books, apparently, and when you read the Ascendancy trilogy books, granted, I haven't read any of those. I haven't even finished the first one. But it's like people say like you get a really deeper understanding of why he's doing this, why he's working for the Empire, and he's not truly evil. He has like his own perspective and stuff like that. Is that going to be taken into account in the Heir of the Empire, where he's going to be like the main villain? Like, why does he want to be the heir to the Empire? Like, hopefully Filoni goes into that. Like, he has never been like rah Empire. That I know for sure. He's not like the biggest. He's not a Tarkin, right? He's not a Tarkin. He's not a Rampart. He's not like even a Moff Gideon, where he's like Gideon is a character, presumably. You don't know shit about Gideon. presumably Gideon's a character where it's just like, I'm continuing the legacy of the Empire. Thrawn isn't about continuing the legacy of the Empire. He's all about like his species, and like taking care of the Chiss, stuff like that. So I wonder if that narrative, that background, is going to be brought up, in Ahsoka season 2 in this upcoming movie. So you never know.
Right? Yeah, I'm not too sure. Just my only real knowledge of Thrawn, outside of a couple quick legend recap videos on YouTube, would be just my whole knowledge of Rebels. And he seems like a pretty devoted leader in the ranks of the Imperial Army. So I don't know. All I know is that he's like a master strategist, and he's also very compelled in just the nature of war and the study of cultures and how to understand everything in order to get the best outcome that he's looking for out of whoever he's approaching.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, that's kind of what he is. Like, he's always been like you said, the strategist person trying to get trying to push his motivations, his ideas. And he doesn't look down. What?
I was thinking, like, even like in terms of like in the Legends, like his death in Legends, like it came to, one of his like closest bodyguards assassinated him, and his final words was just like admiration for how the execution was initiated. He was just so impressed.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. So that could tease like what are we gonna see with his downfall here. Is he gonna get like I think Filoni's smart enough to just like, he's not gonna get impaled by Ahsoka at the very end. That doesn't seem like something Ahsoka would do. That's not what Ezra did. So speaking of that, like there's some Ahsoka characters that hopefully we see in this New Republic film, like Ezra, Sabine,
at a point.
I assume that, right?
At a point, I think you're gonna get the full Rebels crew, the Mando crew, the Book of Boba Fett crew.
How do you balance all of that? Who's gonna be your main character in that sense? Is it gonna be Din, the flagship hero guy?
I think it might be an Avengers situation.
In the Avengers, there's a main character. Iron Man is pretty much the main guy.
It's usually like Iron Man and Cap.
Iron Man and Cap. So
I guess
with Ahsoka.
Yeah, probably Din, Ahsoka, and it might be a trio because I tossed Thrawn there probably with the Avengers. So it'll probably be Din, Ahsoka, and
Bo.
Yeah,
but like Din right now at least. Din, and this is my issue with like Mando right now. It's like he has no qualm with Thrawn. And basically, like Thrawn.
Yeah,
of course, yeah. But it's like Thrawn. And the simple answer is like, well, when Thrawn gets too big, it could ruin like what the Mandalorians have set up. And if they're all about protecting a small guy like Grief Karga on Navarro, they're definitely going to be in the sake of helping out the galaxy from Thrawn. It's just what happened on Navarro, just on a bigger scale. So it makes sense for them to eventually, come head to head with Thrawn.
I feel like even if it's not everybody in the overarching like good guy side team, even though I don't think they're all going to be like fighting for the good, but I think everybody collectively will be joining in to aid their friends, and that's what Star Wars is a lot of the time. It's just the camaraderie with fighting with your friends to help save them.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to look up right now some of the quotes from the next movie that we're going to be talking about here. And let's get into that. So next movie is going to be, there we go. Sorim Obeid Chinoy is going to be directing Daisy Ridley in the new Jedi Order film for Lucasfilm. Wow, Nathan. Oh, okay. First of all, we kind of knew this was going to be the era, right? We kind of knew it's like post-sequel trilogy. That's kind of like what the rumors have been teasing so far.
Yeah, but in my brain, I thought we were like deep. I thought we were far. Yeah. So we're watching the bootleg live stream from this kid on YouTube. Yes. We're watching God bless his soul, because I can't imagine he made it out. But we're watching along and they gear up to announce it, and Evan, I'm laying in bed because it's early in the morning, and she walks out on stage, and I'm kicking my feet like a little girl, and this goddamn Evan, this is my favorite news out of the whole weekend. Still, it is. This is incredible. I started crying, Evan. I'm serious. Oh, I love because I love Rey as a character so much. I love Daisy's portrayal. I love the sequel trilogy. Like, while I did like grow up in the age of the prequels, like I really started to like become a fully formed human as the sequels were coming out, and I feel like I was even more molded by them just coming out and really like taking in and like being old enough to have that feeling of anticipation and that excitement and build up with like talking with your friends like what's to come and just really getting invested with all the characters. So obviously once it was ended, I think we all collectively agree we didn't think we'd see them again for a while, at least not for like a decade.
For sure.
But now they had announced Daisy, and it's funny because there were like previous things where like Daisy would be on Instagram like, I had lunch with Kathy.
Yeah,
just a lunch though.
They were like, oh, it just turned out to be a lunch, and it's like, oh, it was just them because he was like in London at the time.
Yeah,
like,
and then we're thinking like, oh, maybe though, and then it's just so much quiet, and you're like, it was nothing. Fuck.
It was nothing. Yeah. Fuck.
But then, wow, here we are. They gaslit me. No, dude. But it's real. It's happening, and it's interesting because like, as we are right now, we're about 4 years removed from the end of the saga, but we're a couple years away from a full decade since the kickoff of Force Awakens. But this whole thing is going to be 15 years ahead, which is interesting because we start Rey in her journey. She's 19 to 20, which means in this upcoming film she's going to be 35 and a full-fledged Jedi Master. It's like, my God.
God damn. That's crazy. She'll be 35. I'll be what? It depends on this movie comes out, but I could be like 28 to 30. Like, this is crazy. Like, I'm growing up with Rey. Yeah, this is astonishing. Yeah, like you said, she's 18 and 19 in the sequel trilogy, but then Daisy Ridley's now going to be actually matching or close to matching the age of Rey this time around. I think Daisy was like 5 years older than Rey. I forget. I think she was like 23, 24 in 2015.
Yeah, I mean, it went like it was like 5 years making the trilogy, and she's like roughly staying she aged by a year in the whole trilogy. She was definitely in her mid-20s, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. But this is exciting. I mean, wow. Because I'm like you. I was like, part of me, when rumors were swirling about, like all the way going back to, not all the way, but like last year when it was announced that what's his name from Watchmen, The Leftovers, the previous writer, it's blanking on me right now. But when he was attached, I'm like, oh, okay, we'll get the guy who did like Lost, The Leftovers. He's gonna be great, and it's gonna be all about brand new characters. Mm-hmm. But no, like he left. We have Stephen Knight as the writer. We'll talk about him in a second. And we have Charmin Obey-Chinoy as the director, first woman and first person of color to direct a Star Wars film, which is very exciting. But yeah, Nathan, I'm so thrilled that Daisy's back. Like, this is something I just did not expect to happen. I can't keep reiterating that. I did not expect this to happen. I thought it'd be about completely new Jedi, and I would be fine with that because, and this goes into like my trepidation at least. It's like, I did not like TROS. I do not like TROS. It's hard. It's a hard film to watch, unless Nathan puts a gun to my head and say we're doing a commentary again.
This is the funny bit. Is like I'm sitting here and I'm like, will my rewrite ending still work? I don't know. We got to get him back. But we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, because I love Rey to death. Top 10 Star Wars characters of all time. But I also like Ben Solo, and he perished in Rise of Skywalker. And Rey's character, people say like, "Oh, Evan, you just don't like Rise of Skywalker because Ben Solo, your favorite character, died." Yeah, that's it. But
yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the reason. I'm angry. Next.
But also, I think Rey's character arc gets a big disservice. That's one second to Ben Solo perishing and the Skywalkers as a family just dying. In Rise of Skywalker, Rey becomes a Skywalker, so it continues. But still, you killed off all the Skywalkers. It feels weird to me. But anyways, Rey's character assassination. Maybe assassination is a big word, but it's just like, the idea of Rey Palpatine will always have a stink in my tongue and my mouth everywhere. Yeah. It's just and it's not great, Bob.
It's just not locked great. In. We're not really. Like,
it's locked in.
I don't think they could do anything to be like, just kidding. Like that's we're pretty deep in that.
But I said the same thing. Hey, you can say the same thing about Rey Nobody, right? But I think in terms of this one, the thing is, it's 15 years after the fact. You just don't have to mention Rey Palpatine, and it would still be the same movie. Especially because by the end of the movie, the purpose, at least what JJ's talked about, the purpose isn't about Rey Palpatine. It is, but it isn't. It's the fact that like Rey rising above her own lineage and coming above that, even though she came from a dark lineage. She rose above that and chose to be a Skywalker. She chose to be part of the light. She sacrificed herself. What?
In fairness, it is if they were to like go about bringing up Rey Palpatine in this new era of this film, there is a potential to make it interesting because similarly in I believe in Bloodline, there was a lot of smear campaign against Leia being the daughter of Darth Vader. So that made for some compelling story.
Even that.
All right, I'm just saying, like in the context of like this is the person to like lead the new era of Jedi, and then if there's like infighting of just like this person who's descended to the most evil that brought us to ruin, there's some interesting topic there. I don't like it. I don't like Rey Palpatine. I don't like that.
If somebody brought you in the room, I hope you don't say that. Like, don't say that to them. Don't give them ideas.
I'm not giving them ideas, but like if they're gonna do. That would be a way to be like that is an interesting angle.
That would be semi-intriguing, but also like who knows about that though? Who's gonna leak that, right?
Yeah, no, I don't unless they're just bringing up like someone found deep like files, like only deep files that only like tech could hack, like
only the Sith knew. But it's 15 years after the fact, so they just don't have to bring it up. The beauty of it is like the issue I have with Rise of Skywalker is that they went into the past when they didn't need to. They made the central message of the film relegated to, once again, discovering Rey's past, her conquering that fear of her past, rising above that to be a better Jedi, blah, 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 blah. We don't have to do that. We're 15 years after the fact. We can just move forward, which is my thing I wanted Tross to do. But now they have to. It's 15 years after the fact. There's no reason to talk about her lineage at all, where she came from. It doesn't matter. Right now, she's Rey Skywalker. That's it. That's all you kind of really need to know. Move forward from that. What's the... And then, it's funny. Let me get into the quote that Kathy said today, Kathleen Kennedy. Okay. She says, regarding the film, well, we're 15 years out from Tross, so we're post-war, post-First Order, and the Jedi are in disarray, Kennedy confirmed. There's a lot of discussion around who are the Jedi. What are they doing? What's the state of the galaxy? She's attempting to rebuild the Jedi Order based on the books, based on what she promised Luke. So that's where we're going. As for whether Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker could be involved in the film via flashback or as a Force ghost, Kennedy said, I don't know if we'll spend a lot of time in flashbacks or on Force ghosts or things like that, but certainly the spirit of what he represents to her is going to be significant. And then in terms of like getting these really back, she also said like it was a pretty straightforward phone call. Oh wait, no, this is about yeah. So she says like we've been talking a lot about what we're going to do in the movie space, and she said I think we're getting close to being ready. How would you like to go to Celebration? The beginning of like the film process, and Daisy was instantly excited. It's very exciting. But yeah. So in general, I'm excited to see Daisy really back. There's opportunity to bring Finn back, but there's so much baggage with this movie, dude. It's like,
We can amend.
It's like part of me really wants Ben Solo to show up. But
do you trust them?
I don't trust them to do it one bit. One bit. And I think it's easy to bring him back. It makes a lot of sense. And I hope I say this in the most correct way possible. I don't want to get killed on the internet. But
I mean, they're already gonna kill you for saying like it makes sense because they'll believe what they want.
It's like I can see Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy and even maybe Daisy Ridley thinking like, hey, in order for Rey to be a more powerful woman character, I don't want Ben Solo to show up because like Rey's better being like independent. You know, it's that thing that's been happening recently in our media where it's like Little Mermaid, they got to make it more progressive, right? No way, part of this world. Like I don't want to. Apparently they had to change the lyrics to part of this world because apparently the writers thought like it was about her wanting to see Eric when it's like, no, she wanted to become part of this world before she even met Eric. Eric wasn't even part of her thought process in terms of wanting to become a human. Yeah. And then, you know,
I've also seen like equal like backlashes, like, you know, obviously like we want with powerful, not just be like, you know, all the stuff like that, right? But I've also seen like pushback that's just like, so does that mean like you're not allowed to like have a love? You're not allowed to have a significant other? Like that's
what I'm saying, right? Yeah.
That you can't have two extremes that unbalances you. You can have a healthy middle, and I feel it's encouraged. And I feel like the Last Jedi, which is our favorite, is very encouraging of like a setup for that.
Exactly, like especially going into like the qualms of the Jedi, the issues of the Jedi. Kennedy's quote here about like the Jedi are in disarray and what are the Jedi moving forward. That intrigues me, but also gives me some hesitancy because I'm like, wasn't the solution for Tross being, and this goes into another issue of Tross, where it's like it was too focused on the personal of Rey, which I think was important, even though I didn't like the personal route they went. But it's like it didn't really dive into like fixing the problems of the Jedi Order and giving us a happy ever after with that, right? Like nothing of the Jedi Order that was at least discussed in the Last Jedi about like, hey, the Jedi caused like what happened with Ben Solo and Luke's teachings were flawed, like the Jedi were flawed. That was a big message of the prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, and even Last Jedi, about how the Jedi are flawed. Luke went against the Jedi in the original trilogy to save his father. The prequel trilogy is all about them being flawed. We get Anakin. Sequel trilogy, all about being flawed. We get Kylo. And Rey supposed to be like a new breath of fresh air, new knowledge, new perspectives. But Tross didn't really just talk about that. Talked about her Sidious stuff. So now that whole idea is relegated to this movie about like, what are the Jedi now? How are we going to learn from their failures of the past? That's exciting to me. I wish it was done earlier, but it's exciting to me. And now it's like, where do we go from that? And where do we go with Rey?
And
going back. Sorry.
I think it's like ultimately, you know, a lot of people tend to take extremes, just like with one argument or the other. You know, whether it's like they demand like let the past die, and you know, other people being defensive of the Jedi, and then other people being like, well, the Jedi were all bad, and it's like, look, there's a big mistake, that's why they crumbled. But I feel like the whole goal of this movie is definitely going to be we're gonna learn from the mistakes, and you know, the greatest teacher's failure, it's the best Yoda scene, and we're gonna progress, and we're going to rebuild the Jedi in a better light, in a more better way, you know.
I fully agree. I agree. And going back to what I was saying about like the whole idea of love and Daisy's and Rey's character in this one, like I could see them being like on Rey to be independent, so that's why we don't need to bring in Ben Solo, who's going to be a romantic interest. But again, like you and I said, like I think if you wanted to also talk about how like the sins of the Jedi, like you can bring in love. You're allowed to love. You're allowed to have like significant others within this new Jedi Order. You're allowed to have these attachments, and then just healthy attachments. That's the thing. Like we were allowed to have healthy attachments. So the idea of being Ben Solo could also be an intriguing idea of the premise of the Jedi. So not just because I want Ben Solo back, but could also be a very good creative idea to bring Ben back while also fueling the idea of this new Jedi Order. It could it can kill two birds with one stone if you bring Ben back there. So I think bringing Ben back is just, I really want it to happen. I don't think it's going to happen because, again, I think they want to be like, hey, Rey's the conflict could be Rey's all alone, and all she has is like possibly Finn. I could see Finn coming back as well. And that's a whole other discussion. I don't want to spend too much time on this movie, but it's like, I think Finn could definitely come back. One of the biggest backlashes of the sequel trilogy has turned into it's like, hey, Finn should have been a Jedi, which for me, I think partially yes, partially no. I think I would have been fine if he wasn't a Jedi. I think Last Jedi, and people, this criticism spawned mostly because of Last Jedi, where people are like, hey, I thought Finn was become a Jedi, but now he's just relegated to a Canto Bight scene and being a rebel. But I'm like, I think it would have been a healthy thing for him to be a stormtrooper turned rebel scum. I think that was kind of dropped in TROS once again. But I think the idea of him becoming a rebel scum would have been nice. But since TROS sowed the seed for him being force sensitive, it made a lot more people angry because it's killing everything. Whereas like him being force sensitive is saying like not having anything conclusive about that. So now people are going to be angry about him being force sensitive and not being a Jedi by the end of the sequel trilogy. And it diminishes his arc in Last Jedi because he has such a big presence and being a rebel with Rose. All that gets dropped, and it's more so, hey, Rey, I want to show you something. And there's no Stormtrooper rebellion, so that aspect of his character was lost as well in TROS.
Yeah, which we know they were in concept art potentially looking into.
They're doing that for TROS and for Last Jedi. Yeah, that was a seed that was just again dropped. But with this movie, because people want him to be Jedi, because it was teased in TROS, it'll make only the most sense for him to be a Jedi in training with Rey. And I think that's what like even the Lego shorts have been teasing. It's like, hey, Finn and Rey are looking for more Force users. Hey, so I think that's definitely going to be a thing where 15 years down the line, Rey and Finn are struggling to create this new Jedi Order. Part of me hopes they don't make Finn and Rey romantic relationship. That would be a big mistake in my opinion. Hell, bring Rose back, please. So yeah. I don't know.
Just where all this stuff with TROS, it really did feel like a double-edged sword for me, because while you can watch a film and be like, I don't like what they did with these characters, like Finn kind of getting sidelined, Rey being a Palpatine, Ben dying, Poe was a drug dealer, what is odd stuff.
Yeah, that was very Spice Runner,
yeah. All these things, like if this was any other chapter, it'd be like, okay, well, wasn't my cup of tea, but we can still finish strong. The double-edged part is that for what we knew at that time, it's just like that was it. This was the definitive end, and there was nothing further. We weren't coming back, at least not for a long time. And so I'm, getting this type of announcement, kind of like I've already made some pretty good peace with TROS, over time. I've even come to enjoy a lot of different stuff within it because it's still a fun adventure with the gang, But ultimately, I feel like with this film, it gives the opportunity to, I feel a slightly bit more alleviated to just know that where we left off wasn't the end, and we're gonna see where things are progressing very soon. And I'm hoping the best for everybody. Hopefully, Finn can get some time to shine along with Rey. Hopefully, Rey, gets a good story. Hopefully, maybe we can even get a flyby by Poe. Some just it's the gang. It's nice.
Yeah.
And then
maybe Oscar Isaac needs a new house.
Yeah, who knows? And granted, also it does come back with all the Finn stuff. Is like whether or not John Boyega even wants to come back. That's totally up to him. I'm sure.
If Daisy's coming back, 1,000% he would want to come back.
I'm sure they could talk him into it.
But also, just to conclude everything for myself as well.
Sure.
I'm like you. I want to remain optimistic. That's my thing. I see a lot of people were upset about this, where it's like, I don't care, I'm not doing it because Rey, they're still damaged by what happened with Rey, and I understand that. But for me, Daisy's back. I trust the director. I don't really know about the writer so much, Stephen Knight, but I have faith that we can continue Rey's story, give it a good bookend ish. Whereas, like, even then, like, this doesn't have to be the end of Rey's story. If this movie's successful, they could do a sequel. They could do TV stuff. You never really know. So at least for this movie, I'm remaining optimistic as much as I can that Lucasfilm and Daisy, especially now that she's going to probably have a bigger influence on this movie than she did in the sequel trilogy, wants to correct or maybe just have her own perspective of where Rey should be as well. And she'll have a more say in the creative process, hopefully.
Yeah, maybe she'll be executive producer this time around.
Exactly. Hopefully. That'd be awesome. If I'm Daisy, I'm putting that in the contract. Put me executive producer, please.
Yeah.
If you want me back in this movie, executive producer. It's not that hard. So
do we call this episode 10?
You never know. And who are the antagonists going to be? That's a big question that I don't see people talking about. Like, it's supposed to be the end of the Empire. Who are your antagonists?
I had a fun idea in my comic that I eventually want to continue for the Star Wars Nobody run. But yeah, I wanted to do like just these kind of like. Apparently, I'm a big fan of making like cults, but like just like these like negative people who are against the whole idea of the Jedi returning, and just like whether they're fueled by ideals of corruption or malice and just like the past. And granted, that whole idea was 200 years removed from Episode 9. It wasn't 15. And it was like bringing in like interesting idea of like technology of like this new type of saber that actually like can cut through and destroy existing saber blades, and being like a new threat is like, how does a Jedi combat that? That takes away the primary weapon, stuff like that. But I'm sure they're going to come up with something interesting. I'm
Me too. One thought that just came to mind would be like, hey, we don't have to be Darksiders in this movie, but you can have Force users that are just not confident in what the Jedi are doing. If the Jedi are in disarray, and there's more Force users out there post First Order, if they're not happy with Jedi going, they want to create something new, but they don't want to become a Jedi, they could lash out against the Jedi and be like, hey, instead of having Jedi, we could just have our own different Force, whatever. And then that might get into conflict with what Daisy and John are doing, Rey and Finn are doing, and that could lead to some conflict. I think it would be very interesting if the antagonist isn't a Shannon Straight like devotee of the Sith or pure Darksider, just somebody who is a Force user, can wield a lightsaber, but just does not like the Jedi. Similar to how I guess I'm getting inspiration from like the Nihil and the High Republic, where it's just like, we just don't like the Jedi. We don't like their path. We don't like their beliefs. And I have my own set of beliefs that just go counter to this, and I'm lashing out. I'm angry. So that could be something.
I'm not happy, Bob.
I'm not happy, Bob.
Like a Star Wars Civil War, if you will.
Exactly. So in general, we can talk about it again. Let's continue on with Lucasfilm Showcase because we got a lot more to go through.
So let's hit up the TV.
Let's hit up the TV. So Lucasfilm Showcase started with Andor Season 2. Boom! Look at that, Nathan on the dot. Andor Season 2 was teased. Not a lot. Basically, this panel was just going over how proud they were of Season 1, and how like they were so thrilled with the reaction to the characters and how quickly attached people became to characters like Kino Loy, for example, or B2 Emo, or Diego, like all that kind of stuff. So, but they are about Season 2 saying that they are still shooting Season 2 throughout the remainder of this year. Let me see here. There's a quote from Tony Gilroy where he says, we're going as quickly as we can to come back with the second half of this, in terms of second half of the production, and finish it off proudly and make you proud of us. Because they have been filming so far. They took a break coming to Celebration, but they're going to continue shooting into later this year. I assume filming is going to end around like October, November, post-production for a long time, and then it's going to come out in August 2024. So yeah, overall, he says he's very happy with and grateful for the support, and that this a little teases for season 2 was that's not on this page. I can't find, but he did mention that I remember that every 3 episodes is going to be a year time skip. So 3 episodes, year time skip, 3 episodes, year time skip. Because again, you're building up to Rogue One. The finale is going to be leading up to exactly where Rogue One began. So we're going to be having a lot of time skips.
So we're suggesting season 2 is going to be the last season?
Yes, it's confirmed. Yeah. This was confirmed a while back. But yeah, Andor season 2 is the last season. Both Diego and Tony Gilroy were like, this show is exhausting. 12 episodes, more than any other Star Wars show, and they don't want to overstay their welcome. Just, they could, they did consider making it 3 to 4 seasons with less episodes, but they wanted to do like the whole 3 episode structure that worked for them narratively. And yeah, people are worried like, hey, is this going to be rushed? I don't think so. If I have total faith in the writing and the pacing given what we had in season 1. So yeah, and even like House of the Dragon, which was another show that spanned different time period between episodes dramatically. I think I have full faith in Tony and the writing team, and production team as a whole, to create a well-paced season 2.
Absolutely.
But we also, Nathan, they also showed a Andor season 2 teaser. I would say teaser because there wasn't a lot of like big step pieces. It was just like shots of characters. This is not shown to the public. Nathan and I did catch a bootleg version on
backtracking. Like, do I have it? I have it. Yeah.
But there's not a lot of things here. But let's see here. A lot of the principal characters, some intense action. Main quote being from Mon Mothma: "If we do not stand together, we will be crushed." And with the dapper-looking Cassian Andor offering a wry smile, and it was met with raucous reception.
A lot of mostly just like the shots are just a lot of close shots of the characters. A lot of like stylistic camera work that looks really beautiful. But a lot of it looks like, a lot of the characters like prepping for some big stuff coming, which is what you want from a teaser. Looks like there's a really nice close intimate thing with Biggs and Andor.
Yeah, they're like putting their heads forward, something like that, right?
Yeah, a little something.
A little something there.
That was fan art, Lucasfilm. That wasn't the trailer.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Biggs and Andor, they were exes, but then she got with Homeboy, who died in episode 3. And then Biggs went through it in that finale. The last couple episodes in general.
It looks like there's some cool elevator action. There's a big Imperial like conference room.
Show that Imperial conference room.
You see here.
Because I did notice there's a lot of like Imperial. Granted, this is a Rise of the Empire, but there's like a big ISB. Yeah. It was really cool. I think Dedra is going to have a higher position of power, even though she did kind of fail in the finale. I could see Dedra having a higher position of power. I could see my boy Cyril, who was seen eating cereal again with his mom.
Cereal.
But Cyril Karn having a higher position as well. Because in the finale, he did kind of leave his desk job to go track down Andor with Dedra.
He looks to be higher up again.
He's higher up. He's wearing different clothes. He has a cool looking hat, a beret, I think.
Got some big action happening in some towns. A lot of good stuff. I love the ending. It's just like splicing so many different characters in between the Andor title.
Yeah. We see Andor like in this not big, but just like this fancy outfit as I described. And this could be one of the parties that like he finally meets Mon Mothma. Like these are 2 characters, 2 co-protagonists that never interacted in the first season. That I assume are going to have a lot of screen time in the second season.
Just thinking about like the connections of what we're going to see in Rogue One. I imagine we're probably going to get some Bail Organa at some point.
More Bail Organa, more Luthen, of course. But I'm excited because one of the things that we talked about, Nathan, at the end of season 1 was that Andor. This one was a growth from revolutionary to a rebel. Was that what Tony was saying? To have it backwards, but a revolutionary or maybe it's the birth of a revolutionary in season 1. Season 2 is about the revolutionary becoming a rebel. And I think he's gonna have 2 people on his shoulder. He's gonna have Luthen and he's gonna have Mon Mothma.
Okay.
And they both think very differently. And I think he's gonna have in terms of being a rebel, what kind of rebel do I want to become? Somebody like Luthen or somebody like Mon Mothma? And I think he gets a mix of both by the time we get to Rogue One.
I think Biggs will set him on the right path.
As well.
Yeah, and I think ultimately the journey is just showcasing season 1 was it sparked that fight in him. Obviously he sees how screwed the Empire is, but I think this season will effectively kick off his full blown you fight for your people, but you're not the only people out there. Things we see in the Bad Batch and every rebel.
That happened a lot in Rebels, right? Where it's there's more than just Lothal. It's season 2 and season 3 of Rebels is all about hey, Kanan, we can do more. We can do more than just protect Lothal. We can become part of the
big driving force with Hera, every other episode talking to Ezra and Kanan, just I know, but we need to help them. We're needed here.
Exactly, and that could be a thing where Andor did a lot of great heroic stuff in season 1 finale, but it was just saving his town. Now he's going to be a rebel. Or that revolutionary, now he's going to be a rebel going on these missions to save more than just his town. He's going to try and save the entire galaxy. So that idea has to be, laid out throughout the entire season. And I'm excited to see that. But again, the footage, I assume, is still out there on Reddit if people want to watch it. Again, not much to talk about because it's just quick shots of characters. Dedra, Cyril, all that kind of stuff. No mention of K2SO, but he is going to be in the season. We know that.
I think one of the most things. I mean, obviously, I'm excited for the character work and stuff, but I whenever we're dealing with prequels that are about to meet up timeline wise to an OG installment, I'm always excited to see how that's going to pay off. So obviously, we're not getting straight to attack the Death Star because that's what Rogue One was doing. But the whole idea of uncovering the whole idea of this project, the big secret weapon that the Empire's using, what is it? Because even Cassian doesn't know that it's a planet killer until the opening of Rogue One. But just kicking off that journey and just getting the idea of something bad's coming, even imagining them taking down somebody who's a higher up level and he's freaking out of just you have no idea what's coming. It's just the terror that's going to be unleashed, and they don't get full answers out of the guy. Just sowing the seeds of the fear is exciting to witness.
Yeah, exactly. I'm okay. Can we talk about the Acolyte?
Acolyte
next.
Let me.
No.
Go.
It's the Acolyte. We'll talk deeper about the Acolyte when we get to the. There's no Acolyte panel. This is it. So we actually have some stuff to talk about for the Acolyte. This is my most anticipated Star Wars TV series project in the next few years. I'm super, super, super excited. We've been talking about this. We've been teasing stuff about this, for a while now. Leslie Headland, the creator of Russian Doll, is directing, show running this. And we don't have a full director layout yet. Maybe she's doing all the episodes. I'm not sure. But the entire cast was there, featuring Lee Jung-jae. Let me go to the cast because I forget the whole cast announcement. But it's here we go. Amanda Stenberg, our main character from most recently Bodies. Lee Jung-jae from Squid Game. Manny Jacinto from The Good Place. Daphne Keane, Logan. Jodie Turner-Smith from a lot of different things. What am I thinking of? Crap. She was in that great movie, Daniel Kaluuya. I forget what it's called. Rebecca Henderson, which we'll get to who she's playing when we get to the High Republic panel. Charlie Barnett, who is also in Russian Doll. Dean Charles Chapman, who played Tommen in Game of Thrones. And then lastly, Carrie-Anne Moss. All of them were in attendance for this panel. And dude, I just had a great time with the whole cast. Leslie Headland did a great interview, I think, on Saturday as well, which is talking about her enthusiasm of Star Wars. But yeah, the Acolyte. So this takes place 100 or so years prior to the Phantom Menace. We are at the tail end of the High Republic, but way before, of course, the prequel trilogy, because again, it's 100 years prior. Some of the fun reveals that we got was that Leslie Headland, the showrunner, walked out with a tunic, High Republic tunic, wearing Wookiee at her side.
Yes.
It turns out this Wookiee is named not Bur Yaga, which people thought, because Bur Yaga is a famous Wookiee in the High Republic novels.
Is it this guy?
Let me see here. Yeah, that's actually. Wait, is that Bur Yaga? I don't know.
The first book ever. Hardcover, first edition.
There's two Wookiee Jedi. There's Bur Yaga, and then there's another one.
What's getting out of hand?
That was in the manga, but I'm sure that's Bur Yaga. But it's weird because he's a Padawan. He's a Padawan. He's on the front page next to like Elzar and Avar. It's weird. But anyways, what did I say here? So this Wookiee though is not Bur Yaga. It is a brand new Wookiee that Leslie created called Kaunaka, a Jedi Master played by Jonas Suatomo.
Dude, how cool is that? How cool is that for Jonas? Because I think like again like back to like the idea of like we didn't expect to see the sequel trilogy peeps anytime soon, and you know with the hopes of a solo sequel still just out of reach, didn't really expect to see much of Jonas again. And the fact that like they're bringing him back not just to play Chewie, but like he's still sticking to be a Wookiee, but the fact that he gets to be a Jedi, that's got to be like the biggest upgrade. Not nothing against Chewie, it's just like you're a Jedi now.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm with you. Like, I mean, he was great in Willow. People watch Willow season 1, please.
He's in Willow?
He plays a character called Scourge. He's one of the 3 main villains.
Why didn't you lead with this? I love you. Yours is just so infectious. He's so nice.
He's great. Like, there's like the main villain in Willow, but then there's like 3, underlings, and he's Scourge, one of the 3 main underlings. He's great there. But yeah, this is super exciting. You get to play a Wookiee Jedi, which is amazing. Again, it's been teased with 2 main Wookiee Jedi in the High Republic publishing side, but we've never seen it in live action. So that's very exciting to see in The Acolyte. But besides that, let's get into what this whole thing was all about. So The Acolyte, let's see here. Leslie Headland wanted to tell a story from the perspective of the villains, most notably because as we get to the High Republic, or as we get past the High Republic, which was like the heyday of the Jedi, we're on a downward slope, right? The heyday of the High Republic, with the downward slope leading into the prequel trilogy where the Jedi are in, disarray and they're very flawed. How do you get to this flawed era of the Jedi, even though there's so many of them? Leslie Headland was talking about how I think it's ideal to get that perspective from the bad guys, as she says here on Lucasfilm or StarWars.com, that this is when the bad guys are outnumbered. They're outnumbered, they're the underdogs, but the Jedi are still flawed. So how do you craft the story around that? And that's why she came across The Acolyte, where you're going to have your underdogs in the dark side users, maybe some of the Sith, even though the Sith are in a rule of 2. So I think it's definitely just like bad guys, Sith acolytes. And she says it'll be a perfect part of the timeline to explore live action, the idea of the underdogs, the bad guys being outnumbered, and really showcasing the flaws of the Jedi from the bad guys' perspective of the villains. Headland named her inspiration as samurai martial arts, with the focus on relationships from master and apprentice to siblings. The idea of siblings has been heavily rumored. I don't want to get into rumors. I don't know if you've heard about some of the rumors with the premise of the show. Okay, so I won't go into it. So we went back to a lot of the films that inspired George Lucas, basically what she's saying. One of my favorite quotes that she said during the panel, it's not on the website, is that it's Frozen meets Kill Bill, which is very interesting.
What a matchup.
Frozen, of course, one of the most successful animated films of all time,
Yeah.
and a clear-cut example of a person discovering their power, coming out of their own. It has that siblings thing that she was talking about, right? That sibling dynamic between Anna and Elsa, but also Elsa discovering her power, discovering her own, having strength in love, of course. Meets Kill Bill, which is all about revenge.
Yeah.
And revenge, martial arts inspired, but also empowerment through revenge. So I can't wait to watch Kill Bill movies with you, buddy. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah. That's a great doubleheader.
It's been a minute. So that's exciting. I think from those two movies, you get Lucasfilm Star Wars has always been compared to a fairy tale. Frozen is very much a fairy tale story in its simplicity. So in that sibling dynamic, I'm very curious to see what that's going to be about in Acolyte. The idea of siblings, the idea of discovery with power, the idea of revenge. I think these are key tenets of what's been rumored and what's been discussed, as Leslie Hedden said, with the show. And the martial arts alone looks incredible, as we'll get to with the teaser trailer. So the audience was treated to our first ever footage of the series, which featured lots of Jedi, which Hedlund promised there's going to be lots of Jedi, different lightsabers, different designs, and action. There's going to be lots of action in this series. So it began with younglings and a meditative exercise. They're all training things you would see Yoda do in the prequel trilogy, as Lee Jung-jae, again, character from Squid Game. His Jedi relays words of wisdom, saying, "Close your eyes. Your eyes can deceive you. We must not trust them."
That was that was the first lesson that on screen Ben Kenobi ever gave Luke in the entire series.
Exactly. So Luke's getting taught like children.
Yeah,
he basically is. Of course, he's just now becoming a Jedi.
I want to go to Tossie Station.
Exactly.
What's that?
He said the Force is powerful. It's a power we must respect. The website goes into mysterious imagery, fast-moving combat filled with the clip, including a battle between Carrie-Anne Moss's Jedi character and a blade-wielding assailant, rumored looks like Amanda Stenberg, and the end with several Jedi igniting their lightsabers before an unseen foe. Another huge ovation from the crowd.
I'm bummed the footage we got cut off just before that, so we didn't get to see.
Exactly.
Oh man.
So as Ethan just said, we saw some of this footage. It looks really cool. There's when Lee Jung-jae is talking to the Jedi Padawans, there's a lot of different species alone with the little kids, which is really cool. Yeah. So as he's talking, we see this deserty, not abandoned, but just this run-of-the-mill town. A hooded figure walks through the center of the town, wearing black robes. And as Jay says, we must respect the Force. Inside of that bar area, this tavern, Carrie-Anne Moss's character turns around. She encounters the assailant. We get quick martial arts fights. Carrie-Anne Moss pushes her with the Force. You get this skid with the Force. Push. It looks badass.
It felt very Matrix. I'll be honest.
It feels very Matrixy. Exactly. You can see why they got Carrie-Anne Moss there. And then the hood comes down. You can see the hair drip. The hair design looks really cool. It looks like Amanda Stenberg. Again, Amanda most likely playing the Sith Acolyte in this series. Carrie-Anne Moss confirmed now to be a Jedi. So we have a lot of Jedi from the cast. But again, continuing from that footage, there was some flight battles there. There's some more action. And then there is, we didn't see, just a lot of Jedi igniting their lightsabers against some hooded figure. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks incredible. So I'm very excited. And we saw this in 180p, but the budget looks there. It looks exciting. Just some people talking about it, they said this looks really well made. The action just from the quick 5-second fight scene between Carrie-Anne Moss and Amanda Stenberg in the tavern, just quick, Jedi Force fighting. it just looks so raw and interesting. I'm so excited. So excited, Nathan. Before we leave this topic, at least, the Acolyte features, as I said, Daphne Keane, who is playing a Jedi character. She's playing an alien. She's playing an alien character, as revealed in the interview of Star Wars live show. Charlie Barnett is also playing a Jedi character. He revealed that Daphne broke a couple of lightsabers on set. So Charlie was shown in the footage. I forgot to mention Charlie was shown in that footage wielding a lightsaber. I don't know what color. But it says here, even on Variety.com, it says like a former Padawan reunites with her Jedi Master to investigate a series of crimes, but the forces they confront are more sinister than they ever anticipated. I forgot this was revealed by Lucasfilm. So going off of this synopsis,
detective thing.
Yeah, it's a detective story. We're getting two perspectives here. We're getting Amanda Stenberg's Acolyte perspective, of course, as was reviewed by Leslie, with emerging dark side powers, but also a former Padawan. Maybe the former Padawan is Daphne Keane, and her Jedi Master is Charlie or Lee Jung Jae. I'm not sure. Or it could be Carrie-Anne Moss. So Carrie-Anne Moss, Jedi. Daphne Keane, Jedi. Charlie Barnett, Jedi. Lee Jung Jae, Jedi. We don't know who Jodie Turner-Smith is playing. We don't know who Dean Charlie Chapman's playing. I don't think, at least. And then Manny Jacinto, we don't know what he's playing either. I think he might play a Jedi as well. So we'll see. Jodie Turner-Smith, I would love for her to be Acolyte. One of the Acolytes as well. And again, we'll get to what Rebecca Henderson, Leslie Headland's wife, is what she's playing later. But yeah, the Acolyte looks just fucking awesome. The clip, the 30-40 second clip that we saw looked amazing. The premise with the emerging dark side powers, martial arts, fairy tale influence. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I need this. Yeah, it's coming out next year, 2024. Most likely, what I'm thinking for 2024 is beginning of the year, Skeleton Crew, probably spring, Acolyte in the summer, and then in the fall we get Andor. That's my idea for 2024. Unless they can squeeze in Skeleton Crew at the end of this year, which I don't know. We'll see.
I want to get that Amblin vibe. Spielberg can get kind of spooky. Be a good October.
Could be. If Ahsoka comes out in August, we'll get 8 episodes there. So it could end in October. So maybe not October, but like Amblin in Christmas time, that'd be fun.
All right.
But yeah, what's next? So let's go Mandalorian. Actually, let's go Mandalorian season 3/4.
Right. Let's see.
Okay, we're still on Thursday or Friday. It's gonna be a while.
Oh boy.
So yeah, the Mandalorian. Not much was revealed here, basically, but Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and Rick Famuyiwa, all executive producers on the series, came out. Rick Famuyiwa revealed he is directing the last 2 episodes of The Mandalorian. This was screened to people that were there at Celebration, Galaxy, Twin Sun stages. So they've seen the penultimate episode.
7 only. Yeah.
Episode 7. Yeah, they saw the penultimate episode. Finale is going to air next week. But anyways, they're just excited to share that, there's different points of view throughout season 3 so far in terms of different directors, different voices that they've been building towards within the Mandoverse. When talking about season 3 specifically, Rick Famuyiwa said, examining this idea around culture, what it means to be a Mandalorian, and what the title means, and who are we talking about, he teased. A lot of interesting seeds have been planted that we'll see some resolution on. This gets me excited because, season 3 has been good so far, admittedly kind of messy, but I've always been saying I'm very curious to see how the show's going to end, or the season's going to end out, because there's certain ideas that you and I have always been saying this is what the show's talking about, but the show never really explicitly says it. It's subtle, but it's not subtle in weird ways with Mandalorian. I don't want to get into all that again, but I'm very curious to see how these last 2 episodes put a resolution on like what is the resolution that he's talking about? Because I don't really know what the through line is for this season yet. Like, what's the resolution? Is it the resolution about Din's journey? What is the resolution about Bo-Katan's journey? It has to be, right? Bo has had a lot of screen time in this season so far, and we have to get some resolution on Bo. Is she going to continue being a supportive Mandalorian figure, or is she, as we theorize, going to get a little bit selfish, and we could see a little bit of a dark turn or a interesting turn for Bo-Katan. I think we're in for some surprising Bo-Katan reveals by the finale in terms of like her true allegiance. That's just my theory. I don't know. I could be wrong. She could be a very goody two shoes and support Din by the finale. But we didn't really get a chance to talk about the last episode. But like by the end of the last episode, spoiler alert for Mando episode 6, she gets the Darksaber back.
Yeah. This
was one of my complaints of the episode. Was like, it was great seeing her get the Darksaber, but it felt very half-assed. Where it's just like, oh yeah, this woman helped me in episode 2 when I was stuck in Mandalore, and she took my saber and saved my life.
I was thinking about the fucking Deathly Hallows Part 2, like, oh, who really wields the Elder Wand? Snape disarmed Draco, and
it felt like that, where it was just like they did this, and this, and Bo helped me out, and then Bo's like, I guess I did, and then Din's like, you deserve this more than I do, and Bo's like, okay, sure, and then yay, and then Mandalorians are like, they're not even like, yeah, they're just like, I believe you. I'm like, it felt so like, it felt the opposite of what the Rebels sequence when Sabine gave her the Darksaber. People were cheering. We're like, yeah, like it felt much more rambunctious, not rambunctious, much more celebratory in that scene compared to this one. It was just like, cool, you won it in a fight, or you won it saving Din. We weren't even there to see it, but we'll just take your word for it. Din, who we don't even like
Mandos don't lie.
But even the guy just called Din out. He called Din like, hey, this guy has no drop of Mandalorian blood in him. Like, I'm not gonna follow this guy. And that was spawned Din to be like, yeah, you don't have to follow me, but follow Bo, who saved my life. And so it's cool that he has a Darksaber again. But it's also weird that they marketed Din having the Darksaber all season long. With the posters and everything, and he hardly ever uses it.
I mean, for a while, I've been hoping that. Well, I guess we started to convert, right? That we were like, Din keeps the saber and Bo gets the mythosaur. Now it feels like
she gets both.
Yeah, which is funny because I always thought Din would get the mythosaur. So maybe he does now. I don't know. Maybe this would have hit even harder if they were building up that open-ended conflict of like eventually Bo and Din are gonna have to battle this out, and then we get this type of resolution after saving one. That probably would have been more impactful. But as it stands, I am at least where I wanted things to be. I'm happy that Bo has the saber
Agreed. Back. Which is interesting because I think a lot of people are like, a lot of things in Mandalorian season 3 are great in ideas. It's just been the execution overall, the writing of it all, where it's just like there's not necessarily a nice through line. And I've been liking individual episodes. As we've been doing our reviews of the past couple episodes the whole season long, and I've liked like episode 1, 2, 3. What was 4 about?
4 was
saving the kid, I think.
Foundling.
For the Foundling, saving the kid, and 5 was 5 was was 5 Ahmed Best, or 5 was
4 was Ahmed Best. 5 was somebody else.
What did we do? 5.
Carl Weathers, the pirate
episode, which was fine. Then this episode was just like weird but fine. I liked how weird it was.
Honestly, I was feeling a bit refreshed because I feel like we've been like stringed along pretty like okay. Like I've been intrigued by the storyline, but it does feel like they've given us like such like little bit to like pull us along to like the greater thing that when we got to just like take a step back and just be like, here's fun detective episode in neon lights. I'm like, what? Yeah, it's fun.
CSI Mando, which was that was cool. They're going through all the detective stuff. There's like a morgue. They're tracking down killers. I was like,
droid morgue. It's so funny.
As somebody who watched CSI New York, CSI Miami, CSI LA, like I watched all the CSI shows growing up. This
Man
felt
has
like
Paramount Plus for sure.
I don't watch them anymore.
No.
I stopped after a while, but go to my dad's house. It was like a tradition going to my dad's house and watching like 20 episodes of CSI New York in a row.
Oh yeah.
It was just fun.
I feel like all our parents watch these like Law and Order-esque these types of shows, these criminal shows.
Yeah, that kind of blended to me growing up, like Criminal Minds, CSI New York, Miami, regular CSI, Law and Order. Like I watched those shows religiously growing up. That's why I have that like mystery psychological thriller head. Where I'm just like, I can figure out who the killer is in seconds.
That's why you like Scream so much.
Exactly. But quick tangent. I watched that stupid murder mystery movie with Adam Sandler on Netflix, the sequel, Murder Mystery 2. And my mom had already seen it. I went over her house for Easter.
Okay.
And I was like, she's like, do you know who the killer is? And I guessed it right. In the first 10 minutes, I was like, it's this character. And then by the end of the movie, like the fake killer was caught. But then the last 10 minutes was like, no, it's actually you. And it was the person that I guessed. And I was like, I knew it.
You can't pull Aaron's eyes.
Exactly. You can't pull me. I was like, she was like, how did you know? I was like, process of elimination, similar to Scream. You have your decoy killer. You have the person that can't possibly be it. But it's similar to Scream. There's always two, right? There's always at least two.
Yeah. I am continuously impressed how many times I go into a Scream film and I'm like, sometimes it's like I get lost in the sauce, or I'm just like, this person looks so obvious it can't be them, and then it is, and then I'm thinking like, well, maybe it will, but then it is. You never know.
That's what bummed me about Scream 6, because I was like, I called it with one character, but then I don't want to say he or she, they were so obviously like getting called out by the rest of the cast that it can't be him. He was like, he's my best friend. I'm like, then I guess it's not, but then it ended up being them. And then they got me because one of them was like, what happened to them. I don't want to spoil Scream 6. But anyways, sure. Scream 6 really got me. They surprised me. I got one of them right. I got the let's just say I got the head of the group right. But anyways, so yeah, I like the mystery vibe from Mandalorian last week. It was pretty fun. And then of course, like every other Mandalorian episode, the story part is teased at the very end where she fights off Costco Reeves.
Who's back? Hey.
Yeah. What?
Who is back? Hey.
Yeah, he was back along with the other one, the woman, Wolf. Oh, Costco Reeves is the woman one, right?
Yeah, that's Sasha Banks.
That's Sasha Banks, and then Wolf is the one that she fought. Okay, I had it back.
Axel Wolf.
Axel Wolf, sure.
Yeah.
And then they fought, and then she defeats him in combat to get their allegiance, but then she also gets the Darksaber from Din, which further cements her allegiance to like the Mandalorians and that segment. So now they have a lot of people on their side. Now it's ready to take over or take back Mandalore. It's so funny. It's like, let's retake Mandalore, but Mandalore's not really taken over by anybody right now. It's just Mandalore. Yeah. So who are they retaking it from? It's weird. But anyways,
the rubble.
It's retaken from these alien creatures in the rubble. It's like, okay, it's weird. But I have faith. The last two episodes are always very strong for Mandalorian. At least in season 1, I liked the last 2 episodes. And then season 2, I like the penultimate episode, not so much the finale.
Still good Din and Grogu stuff in the finale.
Exactly, yeah. The Din and Grogu exit, it's very emotional, very good.
Yeah.
But in general, like looking back at Mando season 2 now, the Din and Grogu stuff gets resolved in a different show. And Grogu, and I hate just being the guy like, oh, this was said on Twitter, but Grogu hasn't really been impressing me this season, minus like that flashback scene, which I love on my best. It really does feel like Grogu could have been with Luke this entire time. The season does not change one bit.
Do you think
at all?
Do you think we see Grogu in the Rey film?
No.
He will be of an age of which Yoda was close to when he started training. So
yeah, I mean,
it's so weird because at this point I'm like, I can't imagine Grogu being a full-grown speaking person.
Me neither. But Grogu, as we see in the show, he's a Mandalorian. Like as Rick Famuyiwa teased in the panel, it's like season 3 is all about exploring and expanding the idea of the Mandalorian. It's not just Din. It's about Bo. It's about Din, Grogu, and Bo. It's about the armor, right? It's all about other Mandalorian. The whole Mandalorian as a whole. So people have to get used to that as the
it is
seasons.
It is interesting. I feel like I'm seeing the seeds sown of like building up Grogu as like coming full circle to the first Mandalorian Jedi, and then
Oh,
I think Grogu, because like just like to add to that theory with this past episode, the whole crux of like why Din and Bo decide to help the king and queen is because they can create an allyship and like deepen the core connection of the Mando worlds, right?
yes.
And then there was a whole thing, as you may like just toss it off, brush it off to the side, but the fact that like Grogu was affectionately knighted by Lizzo's character at the
It was
end.
a joke.
I know, but like if the legislation connects them and he's technically a knight and he's also a child of Mandalore, plug that all together with the Jedi. It's fucking all right.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's Star Wars. It's silly.
It's Star Wars. It is silly, and that's why I appreciated this episode. I didn't hate it. I had a fun time, but it was pretty fun. It was pretty. I like the cameos. It was weird.
I love the.
Was
droids.
it my favorite episode? What?
I love the droids. I loved hearing the Clone Wars B1 battle droid. He's always so hilarious to hear.
Yeah, the droids were fun. Yeah,
Christopher Lloyd was surprising.
Very surprising. Again, I knew he did it. But Jen and I were like, "Oh, so he did it." Because like, I didn't say it instantly, but like when you go through an investigation and they're coming across no other leads, I'm like, "Oh, then it's the first person you talk to." Similar to what happens in Prisoners. Have you seen the movie Prisoners? By the way?
Yeah.
That's one where I didn't call it, but I was like, "Oh, it's the first person they talked to. That's the person that did it."
My brain was going a different direction because at first he was like talking like if we shut down the droids, it shuts down everything and the people won't know what to do with themselves. I'm sitting there and I'm like Wally. Did the AI do it? But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know what the message of the episode is trying to say. It's like, were people just too complacent? People are too complacent, or the main like, what's the theme of what's trying to reveal about the show?
I forgot episodes are supposed to have morals.
Yeah, because like at the end, the premise of the episode is like, well, Doc went against everybody. What's it about?
Dr. Emmett Brown himself, the hacker from Cyber Chase.
What's the actor's called again? What's his name?
Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd. There we go. Sorry. Christopher Lloyd went against Jack Black because he didn't trust him because he was part of the amnesty. He was.
That's the most fucked sentence I've ever heard about Star Wars. Christopher Lloyd went against Jack Black in Star Wars.
But Lizzo supported Jack Black.
Where are we?
What is happening?
He's going stir like, huh?
Yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird. But what?
No, catch my breath.
But so yeah, Christopher Lloyd went against Jack Black because the prince, played by Jack Black, he was previously a Imperial. We don't know what kind of Imperial, just an Imperial. And then he became like part of the amnesty program. Then he got this position of authority on this random planet. The Republic let it slide because they were happy with what he was doing, but Christopher Lloyd was not happy. He doesn't trust him. He doesn't trust he could be like a bad influence for Lizzo, the queen. So I'm just like, okay, it sounds bad, but I don't know. Is Christopher Lloyd off base here? We don't know what kind of Imperial. He could have been an awful Imperial. We don't know really. It's just we don't know a lot of the information, and the show is just wanting me to not be with Christopher Lloyd because he did all this droid stuff, which isn't great, of course. Yeah. It endangered the people. But I'm also just like, what's the message?
Well, they just started to touch on his motives of how he was very inspired by Dooku's leadership during the Clone Wars.
Which again, I'm like, Dooku wasn't wrong about the Republic. They were sus.
You got me. I read the book, but you got me there.
His methods were awful, which of course, there's slavery involved, mass murder, bad things for Dooku, of course. And that's the thing where it's where you mentioned Dooku, he mentions Dooku, and it's like, oh, this is bad because Dooku is a bad person. Which again, not a great guy. But
Dooku, look who you're serving.
But yeah, exactly, right. But his ideals weren't wrong. So I'm like, in this episode, is the ideals of the guy not wrong? It was just a messy messaging overall. But overall, I had fun with it. But in general, I'm curious to see where they're heading. I'm hearing great things about this penultimate episode by Rick Famuyiwa. And again, as Rick Famuyiwa teased, the last 2 episodes really conclude what the season's been about. But again, it goes back to what has the season been about outside of outside of Bo's journey. And Bo's journey, to put an end to this discussion, like Bo's journey has been nice. I like having her perspective, but it's also been very passive. And I've seen Star Wars Explained talk about this as well, and I kind of agree. Where it's like we see her after episode 2, at least, it's been passive. I like her actively choosing to save Din in episode 2. Probably still my favorite episode of the season. But then episode 3, she comes back and she gets like put within this cult, and she didn't say yes, she didn't say no. They're just like, hey, join us, and then that's it. You just get a helmet shot of her saying like, okay, cool. And then episode 4 is like, hey, she actively is helping out the foundling, but it's also her getting talked to by the armor, saying like, hey, this is what like hey, this is what let me help you out with your armor. And they have this little small discussion, but Bo's not really doing much of anything in episode 4. Then episode 5 is just like the pirate episode is like, hey, Armor is telling Bo that she wants Bo to walk both sides. She wants Bo to be a true Mandalorian and help unite our people. Bo isn't the one saying, hey, I want to do this. It's her being told this. And then she just goes out and does it, which then symbolizing that Bo agrees with her being able to walk both sides, and Bo is able to willingly do this because, Bo's not complaining about it. But also, in general, it's just like Bo's being very passive. And then in this episode, she gets given the Darksaber. So it's like she didn't ask for the Darksaber, just given it. So it's like, whether it's the armor, whether it's Din, these are just happening to her. And I'm hopefully waiting for Bo to actually do something and actively pursue something of her own, whether it's good or bad, in the finale. Because again, I am suspecting something's going to happen with Bo's character in terms of it being very selfish related.
Well, we got 2 more episodes to finally see Moff Gideon.
Oh god! And yeah, you're right. We haven't seen Moff Gideon, so I'm like,
being saved.
What I'm worried about is that Mandalorian season 3 is not going to have much to say as a season as a whole. Like, what is your message of the season? That's one of my main things I didn't like about Mando season 2 was that, like, was your message just, hey, I got to give this guy to Luke Skywalker and that's it? Like, what was the message of season 2? Granted, digging deeper, yes, I understand that Din became more of a father figure throughout season 2, reluctantly.
Yeah, I'm sure it was ultimately just focusing on like what's best for your child,
what's best for your child,
how you feel.
Exactly, which was different from it was a growth from Mando season 1, of course, and I can give season 2 that for sure. I just didn't like the execution in the finale. It felt like it was just teasing and like leading to different stuff, whether it's Ahsoka, whether it's Boba Fett, whether it's Grogu and Luke.
It does make Book of Boba Fett odd when you look at like, okay, it looks like we're setting up Din to be the Darksaber ruler, but hey, also Grogu's back, and now we're on this journey, and now Bo has the Darksaber.
Yeah, right. Like the whole episode of Mandalorian called The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett was him training with the Darksaber, him getting his new ship, and then he just give the Darksaber away. So it was just like these narratives. I'm not confident is going to be resolved in a satisfying way. But it's Rick Famuyiwa. I'm excited to see what's going on. I've heard a lot of good praise for it, so we shall see. Let's move on.
Yeah, and just one last thing. It's just like just say like for some good like stuff that I enjoyed with the episode. I'm still gonna give props to Bryce Dallas Howard for delivering fun. She did fun. She did fun. She did, but like her episode was fun. She still delivered. I feel you can
really feel like the energetic, fun tone that's in a lot of her episodes.
Yeah, for sure. So, no matter what, I'm always gonna look forward to what she has next. It's goddamn ridiculous that like suddenly people who are like, oh, give her a film, or like, oh, never let her touch Star Wars again. And it's like
that's what happens all the time. Same thing happened with Deborah Chow. It's like Deborah Chow should. I can't wait for Kenobi. Kenobi comes out, people are divisive on it. It's like, don't let Deborah Chow touch Star Wars.
Motherfuckers don't know the difference between writing and directing, I guess, but
they don't.
Anywho,
let's move on. Skeleton Crew. not much to stay here, but Skeleton Crew had some very cool 80s vibes. Amblin inspired, of course, as they said. Cast members, we finally got the cast of the little kids. So these were Ravi Kabot Connors, Kiriana Crater, and Robert Timothy Smith. They were all these three main leads. One of them is playing an alien, I believe. They were all joined by Jude Law on stage, discussing their love of Star Wars and the series. Episode directors include John Watts, David Lowery, Jake Schreier, and the Daniels, among others that I forget right now. But there's a whole list online if you want to look it up. The director lineup for Skeleton Crew is just really, really strong. And yeah, an in-room teaser was seen that Nathan and I watched most of this teaser.
Yeah, I got to see most of it. The crew themselves are looking quite dandy.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Like, it starts off like with these kids at this school. They're like this. And these, by the way, the Skeleton Crew, none of these characters are force related besides Jude Law. As I'll get to in a second here.
The alien guy kind of looks a little like Max Rebo. Species.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't notice that, but yeah, I can see that. But in-room teaser focused on the children going off into space for unknown reasons. One of them asked, "Don't you ever want to do anything exciting?" While adults, played by one of the adults is played by Carrie Condon, most recently from Banshees of Inisherin. She's one of the adults desperate for them to return home, them being the kids, safely. Near the end, they encounter Jude Law's character who draws something to his hand with the Force, and the kids ask, "You're a Jedi?" ? No, I don't think he's a Jedi, but I think he is a Force user. Kind of does go away with that rumors and the ideas that he was going to be playing like a Lor San Tekka or a San Tekka.
Yeah.
Which would be cool.
It does also look like we see the one pirate dude that got away in episode 5 of Mando.
Thanks for reminding me. Vane. Yeah, Vane's going to have a prominent role right there. Yeah, it's Vane. So yeah, the kids are running into some of these pirates on a space adventure. But I was just saying, yeah, these kids are at school. They get the idea of like, hey, well, we want to go on this big adventure. And they get into a ship. And, chaos ensues where they don't know what's going on. And then they go on this whole space adventure. They run into people like Vane, other pirates, and eventually run into Jude Law's character. I wouldn't be surprised if they meet Jude Law's character at the end of episode 1, actually.
They do come across a skeleton. A
skeleton? That skeleton droid or just a skeleton?
Both? It looks like a skeleton.
Okay.
It could be a different alien species, but it definitely looks skeletal.
Anything else you see from that trailer there, Nathan?
That was about it. Mostly, just like cool shots of different
school,
droid,
right?
and just the ships and some sort of types of complexes that people are working within. It does look like there's where the kids come from. There's a bit of like a suburb feel, which feels very like earthy. Like you're using people that wear glasses, but it still has that Star Wars angle to them. So that's how we get like the classic like Amblin Stranger Things feel that people are playing off of, but also we're going to take off more into the galaxy far, far away.
Yeah. So what else do I have to show here? Wait, I should stop sharing this, by the way. Yeah, that's about it for Skeleton Crew. It looks very fun. The teaser in general had the vibe of, Amblin. It had that vibe of just like these kids going on a different adventure, different locations, school vibe. And Nathan said suburbs, right? So it was like has that ET vibe to it. Different species, different characters, different creatures, minimal Force element. Again, Jude Law, whether he's faking using the Force like in Kenobi, or it's actually the real Force, and he could be like either a runaway Jedi or just a Force user, which I assume he's just a Force user. I don't know if it's gonna have any big connection to Mandalorian outside of Vane, some of the pirates, but yeah, this is exciting. This is like a fun, simple show.
For sure.
Kid element, more family centric than a show like The Mandalorian or even The Acolyte, which have some darker moments.
Shockingly, I think this is probably going to be the one that's going to give the most heart.
I agree. Yeah, it could have a lot of heart to it, just based on the family dynamic alone.
Yeah.
That's gonna be fun to see. Let's talk about Ahsoka.
Ahsoka, you say?
Ahsoka had a teaser trailer that dropped officially. The poster, which I'm not a huge fan of, it's just a face.
Good face though.
It's Ahsoka. I've seen her since 2008.
It's a good face.
It's a good face.
It's good Rosario Dawson face.
It's Rosario Dawson. Seen her for a long time now too.
It's not a negative, I'm saying.
So we've seen Rosario Dawson came out on stage along with Natasha Liu Bordizzo, playing Sabine Wren.
Mm-hmm.
Harrison Dula confirmed to be played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, one of my favorite actresses of all time.
Oh, amazing. And also, I always forget that she's married to Ewan McGregor. It's Hera and Obi-Wan are married. Can you believe it, ladies and gentlemen?
Fantastic. Chopper also went out among the stage.
Yeah.
And this was revealed to the Ahsoka panel. Do you want to combine the Ahsoka panel with this panel?
Yes.
We can just do that.
Let's do that. We can also discuss the trailer, like the officially released trailer.
Yeah, I can share it in a second.
Okay.
But yeah, they showed a behind the back look at Grand Admiral Thrawn in the trailer.
Right.
It was revealed on Saturday though that yes, Timothy Zahn playing Thrawn. No.
Lars Mikkelsen
is playing Grand Admiral Thrawn. There's a better footage of him. I wish. Let me see if I can pull that up and show people.
I mean, most of the images are just kind of warped.
I mean, this was shown to audiences.
They were. It's overexposed. It was shown. I'm sure we could show them. Can we show the? I think we could show the photo. A lot of people are using them in thumbnails, and it seems all right. I use them in
the photo. Where the fuck is the photo? Oh, I just looked up Thrawn. Am I wrong? Just look up Thrawn. Where is the actual
Ahsoka trailer? Thrawn.
You
gotta specify, or at least like sort your searches to latest.
Okay. Let's see, latest.
Some detective you are.
Yeah, I'm terrible. Latest isn't giving me jack shit. Let me see. Top.
I wish it was an HD image.
Yes, it's not an HD image. What I'm going to show you.
What you're about to see may shock you. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's not even on Twitter. Where the hell? This was everywhere. Now I can't even find just an image of Thrawn's face.
Just go to Google Image, man.
I could just go to Google Image.
You didn't start with Google Image?
I was on Twitter because I was already on Twitter. And
that's what one of them. I'll just bump us back open.
Nope, don't see it on here. Thrawn live action face Ahsoka.
I'm stunned.
Oh boy, nope. Do you see it?
Really? Like sort your search to like latest. To like,
I did, and it's still it's still just showing. It's still just showing Thrawn live action Ahsoka image face. It's all back at the headshot in the trailer. This was everywhere. Where's it at? At least I looked up Thrawn.
I looked up Thrawn Ahsoka trailer. Fourth result. I got it.
Thrawn Ahsoka trailer.
Yeah. Under Google Image.
I have a Reddit link. Yeah,
It is like for Reddit, but it still displays the image.
There we go. Oh, did you already show it on screen?
I mean, they can't see my phone.
Okay. Present. Share. There we go. So yeah, it's this one right here. Yep, there we go. Where it's just Thrawn, played by Lars Mikkelsen, and Dave Filoni was saying how, he was excited because as soon as he cast him in Rebel Season 3, he knew he wanted to get him in live action as soon as possible. And apparently people could hear his voice in the leaked trailer. That was not shown to us on Saturday, because the Saturday one gave us like this face among other little shots, like Sabine fighting one of the antagonists that we'll get into. Right. So it's very interesting. But yeah, that being said, let's show this trailer.
Yeah.
Which,
But yeah, the casting of Lars, like all I can think of is like, that's what we've been waiting for. That's that, like, I knew they were eventually going to do it, and I was begging and pleading that they would just get him, because I had said for so long that if Lars Mikkelsen is the lead antagonist in the 3rd season of the BBC Sherlock series, and his character is to a T Thrawn, and I was like, okay, well, I know he could play Thrawn because he just did it. He just wasn't blue, so just paint him blue. And now they have, and I'm happy. I'm happy about it. I really want to see him more in HD, because looking at this picture, I'm like, but I trust the creative team, and I'm sure he's going to look fantastic, and even more so with time.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's going to be having like the iris, which Thrawn species that have like the eye iris.
Right, not just a blank red.
Yeah, which it happens. Like it makes sense. I understand.
I was never like against it.
Okay, so we're gonna watch here the Ahsoka trailer.
Yeah.
Is it being shown? Yeah, it is. Okay.
Just
Coolio. Here we go. Well, what the heck just happened? Full screen. Yep.
There we go.
Something's coming.
Something dark side.
Oh.
Something dark.
The lightsaber trick. Classic.
I saw the Clone Wars.
You sense it.
Something's coming. I sense it. Nice score, by the way. Balin.
I'm not used to Sabine with long hair.
Fighting off some droids.
The Phantom.
Hera. Chopper.
I'm happy.
2 new antagonists here.
I'm over
Very, very interesting. Lethal.
It's been a while. Things have changed.
I missed them.
I started hearing whispers.
Mon Mothma, among others.
Wild. Love it.
About Thrawn's return.
This is how Thrawn was introduced in the season 3 teaser for Rebels.
Yeah, from the back, yeah. Heir to the Empire.
Hey.
She's back from Mandalorian season 2.
We have to prepare for the worst.
There's a lot of interesting stuff around them.
The Jedi fell a long time ago. There aren't many left.
Mama.
It's awful. It's awful. I don't really get it.
Cool.
Perhaps it is time to begin again.
David Tennant.
David Tennant.
Okay, that's it.
I'm convinced.
August 2024. I'm still hesitant, but
we're here.
We're here. I'm getting more and more excited. I like these new kinds of Darksiders. So these Darksiders are called. Let's find them. Balin right here, most likely talking to Skull. So the names are Balin, Skull, and let me go to bookmarks. The last name is Hati, which very much in line with Filoni's obsession with wolves. Because Balin, Skull, and Shin Hati. I love the name Shin. One of my favorite characters in '86. But Shin Godzilla, the best movie of 2016.
One in Japan. You're gonna discount the entire Japanese people.
I will.
Jesus, they're not gonna let you in 2 years.
Yeah, your name came out in 2016, and people say Shin Godzilla. Their best movie.
You don't know what Godzilla represents, Evan. It's the culmination of their processing the grief of the bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
What are you, Japanese?
I'm a historian. God damn it.
But so Balin, this character right here, Balin, Skull, and Shin Hati. Right there, Shin Hati. As in Skull and Hati, the two wolves who chase the sun and the moon in Norse mythology. Of course, wolves having that same famous, connection with Dave Filoni. He loves wolves. But just in the context of Star Wars alone, like wolves, the wolves on Lothal, that idea there. Lothal is a prominent planet within this show, as we see in the trailer. I don't know where this was revealed, but apparently she has Night Sister related. Did you see that as well?
No.
I found it somewhere. I don't know where I found this. It was on Twitter, on some website, but it's like, it was on Collider.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure it was on Collider.
If I'm going to get some green misty ghost magic in my Star Wars.
I hope so. Let me see if I can find that while I talk. But yeah, so that's Shin, Balin. We just saw here in the trailer. The orange lightsabers are on purpose.
Yes, Filoni was saying. First off, just design wise, he had a lot of memory of. There would be a lot of promo images of Vader where it was mainly through I think the Struzan style painting artwork where Vader's blades appeared more fiery, more orange. But he was kind of taking that not just as an aesthetic, but as more of a meaning that these people who you may think off the bat are Sith, they may not be as they appear.
Exactly. So based off of Collider, who was at the panel, they said Shin is a new character. Right here, Shin is a new character of the franchise who wields the dark side of the Force and has a loose allegiance with the Night Sisters, who are the witches of Dathomir that are heavily featured in the Clone Wars and Fallen Order via
Marin.
And prominent in Survivor coming out later this month. But Shin is said to be a disciple of
Hera.
This guy, Balin. Shin said to be a disciple of Balin, who is also confirmed at the panel a former Jedi who survived Order 66 by fleeing into the unknown regions, where I assume he ran right into Thrawn. So
it's all coming together.
It's all coming together. So Balin fled Order 66, went to the unknown regions, met Thrawn. Thrawn was like, hey, I like you guys. Help me retake the Empire. For what reason? We don't know. Why does Thrawn want to have control over the Empire and whatever? I don't know, but we'll see in the show what his motivations are, hopefully. Balin is believed to be an ally of Grand Moff Thrawn who sends Shin to take out Ahsoka, as we see throughout this trailer. Ray Stevenson is Balin. Yeah, that's it. Rosario Dawson is Ahsoka, blah, blah, blah. Everything else goes into casting. But yeah, that's some interesting stuff about our antagonists there. Night Sister, Order 66 related. Just very intriguing in general. Let me see here. And overall with Ahsoka, there's a Filoni article that I found that really goes into somebody asking how is this going to connect with your film, and he's saying it connects via Thrawn, but it's also he wanted to do something that was self-contained, and it's an extension of Rebels and that storyline. It's not going to have too much of connection to Mando, at least I assume season 1. Because let me see here. Yeah, he says, I think in certain ways, yes, and then in terms of this connection to the overall universe. He said, John Favreau says, we knew the story would culminate. There's a lot of little culminations that come with each season of Mando and the different series that are happening around the same time. But the characters that you see in Ahsoka have been around long before her appearance in Mando. So this story, I'm just paraphrasing, but the story is going to be primarily about Ahsoka, the Rebel stuff. And with Thrawn, that's going to have an influence because of just the overall New Republic and stuff like that. But Thrawn is also, again, just an extension of Rebels. So I think Ahsoka is more so self-contained extension of Rebels that will have implications for future stuff, for the whole culmination film idea there.
Absolutely.
Again, they want all these shows, whether it's Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka, Boba Fett, to be their own little thing with connections. whether that's successful, we'll see. Because Boba Fett had 2 episodes about Mando, and then blah
Mhm.
blah. But I'm not given these quotes. I'm not expecting Ahsoka to have an episode about Din or Boba Fett. Ahsoka's going to be all about Ahsoka from beginning to end. That's what they're trying to say, basically. It's not
Cool.
going to be like Book of Boba Fett, where it's just like, here's an episode where you don't even see Ahsoka at all. So
Right.
Ahsoka's going to be in every episode. She is the main character, along with Sabine. But some other short stuff. I love seeing the Phantom here, the little attachment from the Ghost. What else is really cool? Don't know where this is, but very exciting fight.
Mhm.
Those poor guys, they're so dead.
Yeah. It's over.
So yeah, this is a Shadow of Thaw. People are like, "Oh, this is a recreation of the Rebels finale." No, and
No.
a big thing is, I think this series is primarily going to be about the growth of Ahsoka from the gray robed Ahsoka as we see here, with long hair
Mhm.
Sabine, into the Ahsoka that we see in the Rebels finale, which is white robed, fully confident Ahsoka. Right? I think right
Mhm.
now she's still on the search. She's on the prowl with her and Sabine. But I think by the time we get to the Rebels finale with the short hair Sabine and the white robed Ahsoka, they're more like, I don't know, leveled up, for lack of a better
Yeah.
phrase. Or
I
they're
think
this is their arc. This is their journey.
yeah, because I think even the exclusive footage that didn't get released, I think there was a shot of the two of them as they were at the finale of Rebels, off on their way to Ezra.
Oh, really? With their haircut?
Yeah.
Oh, I must have missed that. Okay, cool.
And yeah, there was like more shots of like, again, like at the finale, like her at the mural and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Other shots
We'll
that
see.
were included though, just to cap them. We did get a face front of Thrawn approaching in his full white attire, so everything was there. We got to see Sabine on a speeder riding down that infamous track that was in as early as the premiere of Rebels.
Yeah, exactly. That was really cool. Again, that's from the extended stuff. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
so cool seeing her go through that same classic runway bridge, or whatever you want to call it, on
Yeah.
Lothal that we've seen so many countless times. What else do we see, Nathan?
We also see Sabine wielding Ezra's lightsaber against this.
Yes, fighting, not him, her, fighting Shin here. Yeah, it looks like through her mission to find Ahsoka, she runs into Sabine, and like it looked like some kind of like it looked like a Jedi training room. Did you get that vibe, Nathan?
Uh, looks like backroom stuff to me.
No, but it looks some kind of like a similar room that I've seen before. But yeah, so using Ezra's lightsaber to fight off Shin is gonna be so cool. Like, and we know Sabine's good with the saber. Like, she was trained to use a dark saber, so using the lightsaber isn't too far off.
Should be
Hell,
alright.
it might even be easier to use. It'll be easier to hold a lightsaber than a dark saber, actually, probably.
Yeah, I think
So
just like the combination of like wielding the blade with also her Mandalorian weaponry is
exactly,
deadly combo with Sabine.
she can hold her own. But if Shin's able to use like the Force, that might be a different thing.
If she's able to use Night Sister magic, it's a different thing.
Yeah, Sabine will be in trouble. Yeah, so that's gonna be exciting to see. But yeah, that was mostly the big thing where it's like Shin versus Sabine on like Lothal with a ship, and then seeing I kind of watched the thing because I didn't see like her with the short hair. But yeah, we also see Ezra. So that's her thing. Sabine wants to rescue Ezra. She made a promise to go save Ezra. Cannot wait to see this.
It's also interesting the fact that Mon Mothma is going to be a part of this story.
Yeah, Mon Mothma's going to be a part of the story, which is I was going to say, oh, we'll finally see Mon Mothma, but I'm like, wait a second. Because for a second there, I don't know why, but I was thinking like, this is the latest we've seen Mon Mothma, but no, she's in the new Jedi Order era.
This ties Andor into the Mandoverse. But it's I do also find this interesting because this is effectively Lucasfilm's first real attempt at taking a character that had an existing actor prior in the original era, and not just like doing a prequel to character, but like this is taking the person you had playing the younger version and putting her after the original actor portrayal.
Good point. Yeah, exactly.
Something that it seemed like they were kind of afraid to do in regards to Luke and such.
Yep. So again, there's also implications for like Kaz. If people watch Star Wars Resistance, his father, I think it's this guy or this guy.
I think the first guy you played.
I think this guy, yeah, played Kaz's father in Star Wars Resistance. So that's really cool. But besides that, overall, not much else to say. I'm excited to see Hera, the New Republic. She's back from Mandalorian season 2. She fought Ahsoka. She's as she said, an apprentice to Thrawn. So again, she must have saw him in the Unknown Regions as well. So that's exciting. This whole shot looks very interesting to me. This whole like world between worlds aesthetic in the background there.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people are saying like they're in the world between worlds, and I'm looking, I'm just like, that's not empty space, that's a planet.
That's a planet, yeah. So it looks like it's planet, but and it looks like an archaeological dig site, right? Like the lights, the technology. So wonder what's going on here.
I do believe this is probably like just those lights in the back, the constellations. I'm sure it is a connective area that leads to the world between worlds, because the whole marketing and the logo has the world between worlds specifically linked to it.
Yeah. Ahsoka has a weird face here. It's like she's not happy, sad, scared. She's just fully confident. I don't know what's going to happen here. She's very focused.
Yeah. Focused.
So that's going to be cool.
I love the classic pose of just her like pushing against the
classic Ahsoka fighting stance. Yeah.
Yeah. It was great. I was watching more of the live stream stuff, like the after panel stuff, like the interview on the live stage. And just like hearing like truly like how much they both Mary Rosario and Tasha, how much they were genuinely like studying like Clone Wars and Rebels era, their characters, and just like really looking at it, and also how like open of an encyclopedia Dave's been to answer all questions. They do feel like they're not just like doing the job for the sake and doing random, like they're taking a lot of care with these existing characters, and they seem like they actually like have become fans of the projects. For sure.
But that might be it finally for the Lucasfilm Showcase.
Day 2!
We already saw the new Dial of Destiny trailer. If you want to watch that, that was on our last episode of My Cup of Tea.
Right.
If you want to watch that. But the next couple of days are going to be way shorter, so bear with us. We already talked about Lars Mikkelsen being the Ahsoka panel. Not much else to say there.
Yeah. I'll say a quick little tab, just
sure
little news, and with it, it is the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
So they showcased the panel. I haven't got a chance to watch the panel yet, but I am excited to check it out. I think it ended up including Billy D. Williams, with Ian McDiarmid, and I think was Warwick there.
Was Warwick there? I'm not sure. I don't think so, actually.
Oh, okay. I think Doug Chang was there.
I think so, yeah. Doug Chang was there.
That's cool. Those were the only two people that were there. Just trying to recall. But yeah, ultimately it was a collective sharing of stories and back then, which is always lovely to hear. And the fact that it has been 40 years is such a big such a big significance. And also a little bit of tidbit is that at the end of the month, looks like it's going to get a theater release for the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi.
Which I definitely hope to see that in theaters. I've never seen Return of the Jedi in theaters. I really want to try and make it there.
Yeah, I'd like to pop in again. I luckily did get a chance to see the 40th anniversary for Empire. Like theaters had just reopened back up, and I was there day one, where AMC was like, see movies as if it's the 1920s and pay 50 cents for a ticket, and so I literally got to watch Empire in the one only time they decided to plug it into the Dolby theater, the Dolby Cinema, for 50 cents. Watch Empire in Dolby.
That's
Awesome. That's so
really
great.
cool.
What a steal. So yeah, hopefully they go a bit more premium again with Return of the Jedi. And yeah, I regret that I've seen them all in the marathon in 2015, but it's special every time, and it's been a long time since I saw that, so I'm very much intrigued to see the conclusion. Here, victory celebration, baby, because I know they're going to do that.
Please, victory celebration. I love that. April has so many movies coming out. There's so many movies I want to see this month. I'm just like, it's going to be one of those 2 movies a weekend again for me for the next couple of weeks.
Get the A-list, baby.
You say that every day.
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. No. My bank account will be very happy if I get A-list. But also, real quick, Tales of the Jedi Season 2 was revealed on Saturday as well.
It was.
I didn't know you had that. Wow. Animation, Tales of the Jedi.
That's right, baby.
Not much to say, but it's happening.
Yes.
That's it. Dave Filoni was like, I just wanted to tell more stories in this world. Granted that he said I assume that this is going to be once again headed by him. So maybe it's just more stories that he wants to tell. So what we can't talk about is like, any quick thoughts about what Jedi we could see in Tales of the Jedi?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It has to be explicitly like Jedi.
No, I mean, previously, Dooku was a previous Jedi.
Yeah, but it's still like it's like they have ties to the Jedi. It's like the point.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm hoping for my thoughts, of course, Ben Solo and Rey would be fun.
Yeah, it seems like there's a preconceived mindset that's like exclusive prequel era. It's like no, it didn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be. So Ben Solo and Rey probably not going to happen. More likely though, we can get some Kanan stories.
Ooh.
Kanan, especially because it's a connection to Dave Filoni, of course. Kanan makes a lot of sense.
Would that mean we're gonna get like a reskin of the full-grown Rebels Kanan as Clone Wars style?
I would assume so.
You're imagining like a fully grown Kanan, yes?
Fully grown Kanan, or that in between year between like when we see him in Bad Batch to Rebels.
Maybe New Dawn era.
New Dawn era, exactly. So
I feel like the biggest ones I'm ideally wanting is like first I'm shocked at like Filoni must be planning a Plo Koon one. I would be shocked if he wasn't.
Look, he's one of those cool characters, but I don't know. I would love Plo Koon one actually.
Sure.
I don't know what the narrative would be there.
We're already getting a Rey movie, so I think we're all right. I think we're getting the full sketch. But I do want to see Ben. I think some Ben and Luke action would be great. I would actually really love to see some Leia Jedi stuff post Return of the Jedi, since that was alluded to in Tross. But since we won't be restricted by like, did they get the realism VFX right? We could just like focus on animation, the story, and Leia herself.
That'd be really cool. I like that idea. So yeah, Leia, Plo Koon, Kanan, Qui-Gon, even though he was prominent with the Dooku stories, Qui-Gon would still be fun.
Could do some High Republic stuff.
High Republic stuff. Do you read publishing, Filoni? I know you're busy, but come on.
Clearly he's aware. The fact that they're doing stuff for this panel.
But okay, let's see here. What else was revealed Saturday? Saturday, we can finally get into High Republic. Yeah, High Republic was the last thing to be on Saturday. Let's get into that. So let me share the screen here. Vanessa Rowe and Acolyte and Publishing. So Vanessa Rowe, let's get out of the way. Yeah, Vanessa Rowe is confirmed to be in the Acolyte, which is super, super, super exciting and surprising. This was up there for me, Nathan, with the whole Daisy Ridley Rey reveal, because I was just so surprised that Vanessa Rowe, one of the most beloved characters right here from the High Republic, from the very beginning, in like the first book, Mission to Disaster, she was in I forget, Into the Dark, I think it's called, Mission to Disaster, Into the Dark, with Wave 2. And then she was in another one, Race to Crash Point Tower. She's in that, but she's in a lot of Rising. She's in the Rising Storm actually, yeah, a little bit.
Congrats, you've
Yeah.
seen all 2 of my High Republic books.
So I don't think she's in the Fallen Star though, because she's not in the Fallen Star. She's not in Starlight Beacon. So yeah, she's in throughout Phase 1 a lot, and she's just a fantastic character. So yeah, she's a young Jedi Knight. She wields like a purple lightsaber. The cool thing about her is that she doesn't have just a purple lightsaber. It's like a Jedi lightsaber whip that can turn into a whip. Which was unbeknownst to her Jedi Master, Stellan Gios, because she was nervous about what he would say about that. I think she eventually told him. I'm not sure. Yeah, she was once apprenticed to Stellan Gios. Don't get into that. But yeah, Rebecca Henderson, again, wife of Leslie Headland, will bring the character to life. This bodes very well for Vanessa's chances of survival as we get to Phase 3, because a lot of Jedi are dropping. But yeah, it's a great, really cool. I should pull up the image. I'll go in later. I don't have time right now. But looks. The curious thing about Vanessa Rowe is that she's in like these similar gold robes as the High Republic, yes, but she has no flowing hair like she does right here in this image.
Right.
Jedi Master Vanessa, as we see in Acolyte, has like just bald fade, similar to what we see with Seer in Jedi Survivor.
Yeah, it's funny. I was like looking at that image and I was like, who is she in the High Republic? And then I look at who they're referring to. I'm like, that's her? Oh.
Yeah, exactly. So very different.
What year is it?
She would have to be like 116 years old or 100 something years old. So
is that just how their species are? They tend to
I have no idea. It is now.
All right.
I didn't know they lived that long. I thought they had a human lifespan. But
isn't she a similar species to Luminara?
Yes, I believe so. I forget what that species. I'm terrible with species and aliens and shit. But otherwise, moving on. Tales of Light and Life is an anthology YA anthology series coming out this September, and we got a new author right here. Nope, wait, where's it at? Barnes & Noble exclusive. There it is. Alyssa Wong. Alyssa Wong is only going to be part of the Barnes & Noble exclusive. Her story, at least.
Okay.
And again, this is a YA anthology series set in the High Republic with characters that we know from Phase 1 and Phase 2 and Phase 3. Characters and stories. I mean, stories from Phase 1, stories set in Phase 2, and stories set in Phase 3, which, this being the September book, this takes place before Phase 3 officially begins. So this is going to be our first tease of what we're going to be seeing in Phase 3. Phase 3 being called Tales or Trials of the Jedi, Fall 2023. It begins in November. In this, spoiler alert for those that have not read Phase 1 yet, but the Nihil are winning. Starlight Beacon has fallen, and Marchion Ro has caused Jedi to retreat to Coruscant, while that Nihil remain in control of the not unknown region, but like the outer regions. So the Jedi are on the run, not on the run, but just like on the fringe.
But Evan, what about the hyperspace lanes?
Hyperspace lanes, great idea.
What were we talking
great question, actually.
Were we discussing the other week? Were we discussing the other week of just like they put up traffic cones?
Exactly. Basically, so yeah, at the end of this wasn't actually revealed. This wasn't not revealed in any novels, but it was revealed in the Eye of the Storm issue number 2, which is all about Marchion Ro post Fallen Star. He basically using this, I forget what it's called, Galaxy. It's kind of like this, not a security blanket, but just like a electric, magnetic field, basically throughout the outer rim, which is disrupting hyperspace lanes and basically causing people to not be able to travel to the outer regions, the outer regions of the galaxy. Just the core worlds are like what the Jedi are just forced to remain in at the moment. And plus the Nihil, with the use of like their the Nihil drives, right? They can go within hyperspeed. That's what caused the whole great disaster in Night of the Jedi was that the Nile were somehow able to interrupt and manipulate hyperspace and hyperspace lanes, and somehow there was more than one ship in one hyperspace lane. It crashed. They spread throughout hyperspace and spread all throughout different parts of the galaxy. That caused the great disaster in Night of the Jedi. So the Nile can also manipulate hyperspace and the corner off the outer region. So Jedi are screwed, but we have some Jedi going after the Nile, doing what they have to do. So new authors joining us, as I said, Alyssa Wong, writer of Marvel's Dr. Aphra, which is still my favorite series that Marvel/Star Wars is doing at the moment outside of the High Republic.
They got to be getting her in a project sometime soon, right? Like for movies or TV.
Oh, Aphra?
Yeah.
I hope so. Because she's alive during like the Rise of the Empire era. She's alive original trilogy era. And I assume she's going to be alive post original trilogy. So a lot of tales for Aphra. Let's see here. Going into the novels for Phase 3. This is all the novels for Phase 3. The adult novels called Eye of Darkness by George Mann come out this November. Escape from Valo, written by Daniel Jose Order and Alyssa Wong. Her first big outside of the YA anthology. This is her big novel, the middle grade novel, Escape from Valo. Within Valo, Daniel Jose Order created a character called Crash Wong or Crash something. I think it's just called Crash, which is based on Alyssa Wong because they are best friends. Daniel Jose Order and Alyssa Wong are best friends.
That's cool.
I assume outside of Alyssa just having a great pedigree within Marvel alone, that Daniel also recommended that she join the High Republic Initiative because she's great. Again, people don't know Alyssa. She's doing Dr. Aphra, but she's currently doing Deadpool at Marvel. She's doing more Cassandra Cain content at DC. She's doing High Republic stuff for Star Wars. So she's a great author. Read all her stuff. But then we have Tessa Gratton and Justina Ireland working again together on their young adult novel called Defy the Storm, which comes out next March. You'll see they're every other month here a little bit. They're spreading out the novels starting in Phase 3 some more. Between the YA, middle grade, stuff like that, which is really cool. George Mann is doing that Eye of the Darkness, which he said is featuring Mark Monroe. And he started talking a little bit more about it. He was like, it features Mark Monroe, the main bad guy, but also Avar, Elzar, and Mike Seglain, the head publishing guy. I was like, hey, stop. He didn't do that a lot during the panel. He was like, hey, don't go too far. Don't stop. You don't say too much.
Oh, no. The new Filoni.
He really is because they would say one character name. They're like, yep, can't say too much. Which is funny. So, again, Eye of Darkness takes place a year after the fall of Starlight Beacon arrives this November. The other two adult novels are going to be Tears of the Nameless. Wait, sorry, no. I'm reading the wrong one. Yeah, the other adult novel is called Temptation of the Force, which is next summer, 2024. And the final novel, Trials of the Jedi. The best thing about this Phase 3 initiative is that, for the third novel, in this case, Trials of the Jedi, this is going to be the last big novel, adult novel for Phase 3. And it's funny because Charles Soule is going to be bookending what he started. He started it with Light of the Jedi. He'll be ending it with the last adult novel, Trials of the Jedi. Same thing for the YA, which was started by Claudia Gray in 2021, or 2020, 2021, and it'll be ended by Claudia Gray with Into the Light. And then same thing for middle grade. It was started by Justina Ireland, and it'll be ended by Justina Ireland by the end of Phase 3. But people can go through the High Republic stuff here, young adult novels, Tears of the Nameless, Into the Light, Escape from Valo, Beware the Nameless, A Valiant Vow. You can assume Vanessa's going to appear in that kind of stuff. But just very cool stuff. Trials of the Jedi, a great poster. Star Wars Inside is going to have some more High Republic stuff here happening.
Okay.
And I love this image, the Night of Sorrow. This is going to be the big last event for Phase 2. The Nameless. This is the image of the creature called the Nameless. The right eye here showcasing the mother, who is our main antagonist in Phase 2 of the High Republic. She does not like the Jedi. She's part of the Path of the Open Hand, which is like the Force should be open for everybody. But then there's also some like evil side to it because the Path existed before the Mother. It just didn't have a leader. The Mother comes into the clan and instantly becomes, via her powers of persuasion and just who she is as a person, she becomes the head of the Path. And some people aren't happy about that, especially Martyr Row and Yana Row, which are ancestors to our main protagonist, Markion Row, 100 years later. In his left eye, we see a character called Olivia Zeveron, who is one of the main characters in the current Marvel Phase 2 characters. She was in the Battle of Jeddah. She's in the whole Jeddah Marvel comic book right now. But her name is Olivia Zeveron. The mother's real name is called Eliza Zeveron. They both have the same name. And
that could mean anything.
It could mean anything.
Even
as somebody who's just like, I need to catch up on the comics. I need to catch up on some things. But like, we still don't know their full connection. Somebody told me they're cousins. I thought they were mother and daughter. I don't know. They seem to have some kind of family connection, which is all going to be revealed in next month's Path of Vengeance, written by Kevin Scott.
Maybe it's a common last name like Johnson or Smith.
Maybe, yeah. I don't think so. They're both black. They're both they look similar. And again, it says right here, Olivia Zeveron and the mother leader of the Path of the Hand, each reflected in the eyes of the fearsome creature. Again, the Nameless is a creature that can just zap the Force from a Jedi or Force user in general, turn them to stone, and instantly kill them.
Oh God!
Not great. It had led to a lot of tragic incidents in Phase 1 and Phase 2 so far. The Nameless creature, not great. And the mother had an egg, which is I don't want to say too much. Just read Phase 2.
Hatching?
Spoiler alert. In Path of Deceit. So, but they did tease. It's just a creature that the mother can control. We shall see later on in the next book, the final book coming out.
Ezra action.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the mother's not Force sensitive, but we'll see. Anyways, the Night of Sorrow, lastly, is this big incident that caused the Jedi to get on bad terms with the people of this planet called Donna, and most notably, it might lead to why Markion Row in Phase 1 is so against the Jedi. It might have something to do with what the Jedi do in the Night of Sorrow. The Jedi do some bad stuff, so much so that in Phase 1, when some Jedi trying to look up what happened on Donna, the Night of Sorrow is off the registry. Similar to like when Kenobi tried to look up what happened to Kamino. They're like, it's not in the registry, right? Dooku permanently deleted it. Well, in High Republic Phase 1, they're like, what happened on Donna? Why do people on Donna not like the Jedi? Well, they're like, 100 years earlier, there's a thing called a Night of Sorrow where the Jedi did something very bad. Something bad happened to the Jedi, and the Jedi did something bad. All to be revealed in the next book again called Path of Vengeance. All roads lead to Donna. Lastly, Edge of Battle Unprecedented is a manga coming up in May, written by Daniel Jose Order, featuring yet another rookie Jedi called, what's his name? Arkoff. He's the other Jedi that I was talking about when you looked up Light of the Jedi. But yeah, Arkoff is a big Wookiee Jedi, badass, awesome, with his master, this nice old lady right here, who is also apparently a badass. But then we also see a Jedi whose eyes are bleeding.
I want to get that checked.
It's going to kill me. It's watching me. I can see it. Like this, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's horror? Star Wars horror?
Big time, right? And this has to do with the Nameless. The Nameless, before they turn Jedi to stone, Jedi start freaking out, and their worst fears become reality. And their worst fears, they feel the Force draining from them, and then they turn to stone. So this might be leading up to this guy's incident before he dies. And this is all going to be part of what?
Can we reverse this?
No, it cannot be reversed.
What if we kill the Nameless?
It doesn't. They still
free their souls.
They're still
free their souls. Fairy tale.
That would be awesome, but I don't think so. But again, this is all about the Battle of Donna. With, as I keep on saying, Battle of Donna takes place in this manga, and is going to be the centerpiece of the last book, Path of Vengeance, coming out next May. So Path of Vengeance is going to be having the Night of Sorrow, the Battle of Dawna. They could be one and the same. I'm just very excited because Kevin Scott's a big horror author as well. So he loves death and horror. So I'm very nervous.
Yeah, just looking at this close-up image, it feels very like Cthulhu-esque.
It does.
Very
It does.
eldritch.
It's terrifying. But I'll stop sharing that right now. That was Saturday's panels. Sunday, we got Jedi Survivor trailer, which we're watching here in a second. Everything else is really from publishing. To be honest, the publishing stuff was pretty underwhelming. Let me cover the publishing stuff real quick before we get into this Jedi Survivor. Crap, I should share this one again too. Sorry. Here we go. I'll make this one quick. But Jedi Timeline, which is coming out later this year, featuring the whole timeline. So they're all interconnected too. So like the Mandalorian timeline is going to have stuff here, but it's also going to be intercut with stuff like from Book of Boba Fett. Like all this, it's not just like from show to show. It's just literally timeline. World Between Worlds has its own like set of pages within the timeline book as well, going over the whole concept of the World Between Worlds and the timeline. Because again, Ahsoka does not time travel, everybody. It's all one big, like, coordinated timeline. Battle of Yavin. One thing that I liked was like one of the panelists said, like, you think you know everything about the Battle of Yavin, but the timeline book goes into some things that might not be revealed yet about Battle of Yavin. Just some small things. We have 100 objects, which include the Rebel Manifesto from Andor.
Ooh.
In its entirety, which is really cool.
Nice.
The Pathsay House from Kenobi, which is really cool. Jedi Survivor art book officially confirmed, coming out this December, which is a long way away from the game, but coming out in December, even though the game comes out in 2 weeks.
Maybe the game takes a long time to beat.
Probably, and has probably a lot of big spoilers. Return of the Jedi, from a certain point of view, of course, celebrating the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi.
Wonderful.
A lot of great authors here. Alyssa Wong has her own stuff there too.
Uh-huh.
Adam Christopher revisiting Enric Pride from Shadow of the Sith and The Rise of Skywalker. General Pride from Rise of Skywalker. High Republic Character Encyclopedia, which I'm desperately in need of, featuring over 250 High Republic characters.
Wow.
Avar being the main character.
I remember, like, in the beginning, a lot of people were like reading and were like, these are great stories, but like I keep having to Google image who they're talking about.
I'm the same way. I'm like, I keep having to like look up what they look like and who they're talking about. So this is going to be a big book to get in terms of like, this is what each character looks like. This is their appearances, their motivations, based off of just like their quick summaries that I read earlier today. It seems like this is from phase 1 and phase 2. Just phase 1.
Okay.
Nothing to do with phase 3 because of spoilers. And yeah, so the phase 1 characters revealing everything up until the end of phase 1. Secrets of the Wookiees, which is a brand new visual novel talking about like, the Wookiees.
That top image is very much a holiday special Life Day.
Life Day, so Wookiee culture, different Wookiee characters. Very exciting. Very exciting. More High Republic children authors. Charles Soule, author of Light of the Jedi and other High Republic stuff. His daughter, Rosemary Soule, helped write this children's book about Jedi in the High Republic, which is very sweet.
That's awesome.
Let's see here. Young Jedi Adventures, which is the new show coming out for Disney Kids and Disney Plus.
I think a trailer came out for that today.
It did, yeah. And that's going to have a lot of publishing stuff as well. So a lot more kid stuff there. New High Republic cookbooks, new Star Wars cookbooks in general, flip books. That's about it. And then real quick, Dark Horse Comics. Not much to be revealed here, but High Republic Adventures is returning later this year. There has been High Republic Adventures for Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3. This is a continuation of the end of Phase 1. So Phase 1, these are Phase 1 characters, not Phase 2 characters, of course, because Phase 2, again, is a prequel. So these are a continuation of the Phase 1 characters, Zine and Court, post the fall of Starlight Beacon. Really cool.
What do you mean Starlight Beacon fell?
Spoiler alert. But yeah, A Storm in the Forest, written by Claudia Gray. This is a one-shot called Quest of the Jedi, about these Jedi exploring this mysterious signal coming from this mysterious planet, and chaos ensued. We still don't know a lot about this one-shot. It's been delayed a lot, but it's coming out, I think, later this month, actually, or mid-May. One of those. April or May. This is just from Interior Pages. Tales from the Death Star, written by Cavan Scott. Once again, Cavan's a big horror guy. He loves doing these like Tales from Jabba's Palace, Tales from the Death
Vader's
Star,
Castle?
Tales from Vader's Castle. Exactly. It's all by Cavan Scott because he likes that spooky horror vibe. So Tales from the Death Star is coming out later this year with Tarkin and other stories.
Are they genuinely spooky?
They're pretty spooky. I like it.
Nice.
Cavan Scott, he loves his character Jackson.
Oh, it's a fucking from the Marvel Comics heyday.
Exactly. So yeah, this is Cavan's favorite character.
I dare them to put that in live action Mandoverse. I dare them.
Eventually, this has to happen.
Oh man.
Let's see here. Hyperspace Stories, a Cad Bane versus Quinlan story coming up in Hyperspace Stories, which is very fun. Cad Bane and Quinlan did famously fight in the Clone Wars, so this is round 2.
Okay.
Remember they fought with Kenobi when him and Kenobi were tracking down Jabba the Hutt's relative.
Oh, really?
Remember that? Remember when one of the first introductions to Cad Bane was Cad versus Obi-Wan on those like those rocks or whatever, where they're freeing.
Yeah, or what was it for Zero the Hutt?
Zero, that's what it was. Yeah.
Okay. You said like Jabba's relatives, and yeah, Zero is related. But I was like thinking like, what, Rhoda, his son, the Clone Wars movie?
So this is another character called Sav, introduced in Phase 1, but this is Phase 2, where she's a lot younger. She's a pirate Jedi. She's not part of the Jedi Order officially. And
a pirate Jedi.
This is them within the Battle of Jeddah. He said they're really going to get into the Battle of Jeddah. And then lastly, pre-comic book day, we're finally going to see what happened to our main character right here, called Lula, the Black Jedi right there. What happened to her on Starlight Beacon? Because that's the last we heard of her was she was on Starlight Beacon. It fell. We're like, is she alive? So we get to finally see what happened on Free Comic Book Day this May. But yeah, let's get into Jedi Survivor, which happened on Sunday.
Yeah.
You have not seen this, right? Have you?
Have not seen this new trailer. And just as well, I haven't seen the Visions trailer, which will also be coming up covering.
Yeah.
Can we make it to the 3-hour mark, Gavin?
I think we can. I'm thinking the same thing. We'll make it in 3 hours. We have 20 minutes.
I'm thinking 3 hours.
I'm thinking 3 hours.
I'm thinking
this is our last Hyperspace Hype episode of all time. Yep. I'm kidding.
It's the end game of podcast.
Okay, present, share screen. There we go.
We have to rely on like anybody watching this that like they just put us on the background while they're doing tasks.
Yeah, put us on the background. I should really create like tags for like different topics.
Yeah, we do need to. I need to make chapters.
Yeah, when I have the time. But so this is Jedi Survivor. Here we go. Is it streaming?
Sorry, I forgot I had to replug it in. I thought you were already in the same tab. Here we go. We're going to queue up. I haven't had the music on the entire time in the High Republic.
Here we go. Jedi Survivor.
All right.
Let's
see what we got. It's about to come out, right? In like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Let's check it out. Damn.
When they start off to war. These are of time.
They were very excited about this Rancor fight, by the way. They were really hyping up this Rancor fight during the panel.
Oh, snap.
Not panel, but just during like the live stage.
I played Force Unleashed.
If I think so.
We must stand.
Stop lagging. That might be it. Yeah, sorry about that lagging. I don't know why I started lagging there. But in general, very exciting stuff. A lot of mostly just gameplay footage and gameplay stuff. Not much from the story there at all. But again, from the story, we know there's a High Republic Jedi who is out to, like, why is Jedi like this? Why is the Republic like this? Why is it just the time itself? He's a guy out of time. The big brute that we saw him fight, that Cal fought in this trailer, one of his main tenets is that he's a species that's just very hard to kill. So he's an antagonist that we're going to see a lot during this. But overall, yeah, very cool stuff. Not much shown. The Rancor fight was like the big thing that got a big pop from like the creators and from Cameron Monaghan. And yeah, this guy is going to be a big antagonist.
It does look really wonderful. I don't know what happened. Everything you shared on screen, I didn't see it all. It was glitchy, and
really?
it was so frozen the whole time. So I just watched it on my phone. It's just now on mute. So I'm caught up. Sorry. Just yeah, no, it looks phenomenal. Like now that we're like this close and they're putting out this trailer, it looks gorgeous. Not that I didn't before, but it just looks so perfectly polished. I'm really excited to explore these worlds. I know they were also saying that Coruscant is going to be a very open world exploration.
Yeah. Coruscant is going to be one of the main explorable worlds, just like every other world. So, yeah, some people are saying like the worlds are comparable to like the realms in God of War Ragnarok, which is, if that's the case, holy shit, that's a lot bigger than I was expecting. Because the realms in God of War Ragnarok are they're huge. So there's a lot to explore there. So yeah, I like a lot of the gameplay stuff here. It's very cool. There was that one shot like he flung that guy into a TIE fighter. Of course, different stances that we've seen in all the other trailers. Overall, very fun. As I was asking, were droidecas in the first game?
Droidecas, no, they weren't in the first game.
Or were they in the DLC probably?
Was I don't think so.
Well, one of the updates is like you can do arena battles or stuff. I never really did it.
Oh yeah, I didn't dive into that. All I remember is just a lot of Purge troopers.
This is our main antagonist right here from the High Republic. We're in the golden robes of the High Republic, which is very exciting.
Oh yeah. Maybe he was previously turned to stone.
Maybe.
His skin is gray.
Survivor.
He's stained from the curse.
Not much to say. I don't really want to go too deep into it because I just want to be as open as possible before we see the movie or the game.
Ideally, we're looking to stream it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we keep on saying that. We're going to stream it. We got to talk about that. Just stream the whole game, different YouTube clips. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to do that because I really, really, really can't wait to play the game. Can I beat Horizon Forbidden West before April 28th? I really hope I can.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. Let's move into today, which is the Bad Batch, Visions, and Marvel.
Let's do Visions.
Let's do Visions since we're on the trailer right now. Hopefully Hopefully it doesn't mess up.
Yeah, we're going to we're still going to share it, but just for my own safety,
Yeah.
I do have it queued up on my TV here.
Yeah, just watch it yourself.
Yeah,
And
so
for other people too, if it's messing up for everybody else too, just pull it up on your phones and your TVs as we go through this.
yeah.
Yeah. Come on. There we go. So queuing it up. Getting ready there. Okay, here we go. Visions season 2. Oh wait, it's at my 25 speed still. Back to normal. Okay, Visions volume 2. Here we go. So cool. I love this weird
Gorgeous.
animation style. It's gorgeous as hell, but it's different.
Of the brushstroke design.
It's the brush. That's what it is. Yeah, I was like, you can feel the plasma coming off each lightsaber.
If I had a nickel for every yellow katana saber,
I always knew you were meant for bigger things.
Gorgeous scenery. This Irish one
Just
here.
keep going.
No need to fear. There are others like you here.
This might be
I
Studio
saw it
Mir.
myself. She has special powers.
The Indian version.
Damn.
Yeah, Studio. I think Ardman. I think it's called. I forget what it's called.
wild.
Don't be
The
afraid.
Chicken Run Studio.
May the force be with you. It's showtime. Whoa. The storm is approaching.
I can fight them. I'm strong enough now.
No one is stronger than them.
Indian Inquisitor.
We can beat them.
This child. Braver than a Marine.
This stop motion is amazing.
In the action, the visuals looks wild. So many different lightsaber fights. So many different chase sequences.
It's a real bike.
So many force users.
Calling takes
So
us.
exciting. Yellow and red?
Only whether or not to answer.
Oh! My birthday, May 4th. Let's go.
You know, that's the good shit.
That's exciting.
That's what I.
Yeah.
That's what we've been waiting for.
It really is, dude.
Wow.
I'm
There,
so hyped.
God, there's so many forms of animation. They're all because,
Yeah.
Visions was super creative, but it was all not to knock it, but it was all primarily within the anime aspect of like 2D. But the fact that there's so many, it's not just one thing. Like even though there's different styles of 2D, and then even like the 3D animations, there's different realms of that, and just the stop motion. That's wild. It's so cool.
It's very cool. Very, very cool. So yeah, just tons. We don't have time because I don't want to be here forever. But people can look up the different, there's some great threads online on Twitter, especially, that go over like the different perspectives that each author was talking about. Each author director, I mean, each director and writer were talking about for their shorts. Like some in the stories, like there's a love story with the dancer one right here. This is a love story similar a la in vein to World War II inspired spies, where these dancers are going to be like spies for the Imperial, spies against the Imperial Army during like their occupation. I don't know what the Irish Tale is about, but I'm excited for like Studio Mir, which I think this might be. Where is it? This might be a Studio Mir story right there. These guys, and then I don't know what all these different studios are off the top of my head. Again, there's a lot of great threads going over what each one's talking about. Again, it's not the Studio Mir one because Studio Mir tweeted out like. He's like the main character on the poster. He's like the center of the poster. They're like, we're very proud of being the center of the poster. That's very exciting. Yeah, it's the Irish studio. They're the ones that did like Wolfwalker, which is an Oscar-nominated animated film a couple years ago.
Nice.
And just this is very cool. I'm looking for the one that I liked. There's one that was like very black focused, like a lot of African
Ooh,
culture. I wonder if I can find it. Oh, this is the Indian Inquisitor. Very cool.
that's cool.
Indian Inquisitor, two purse troopers. Very exciting. Right
Nice.
here. This is gonna be the African inspired
Ooh.
one, which is gonna be very cool.
I like the art.
Very excited. But yeah, I probably would go check out whether it's Empire.com, Star Wars Explained, IGN, Sky Talkers on Twitter. A lot of people, they just look up Star Wars Visions. There's a lot of great articles about each different special. And here on Hyperspace Hype, we'll be going over in 3 weeks from now, each special. We'll give our reactions, our reviews, our takes on each and every episode, all 9 episodes.
Nice.
Very excited. But yeah, that's it for videos. I'll stop sharing because Bad Batch was not shown to the public. But Bad Batch is where we'll end things off a little bit. So Bad Batch season 3 confirmed to be coming in 2024, which I'm happy about. I was like, could this be 2025? I don't know, but 2024, which just joins the hyped up 2024 shows like Skeleton Crew, Bad Batch, The Acolyte, and Andor season 2. Man,
Back next week.
That's gonna be a great year of Star Wars TV next year. Yeah, they did confirm again it's the final season, unfortunately, which we kind of thought. I like that it's ending out on a high note.
Sure.
Yeah, so in the trailer that I was shown, it says begins with the Emperor walking in to visit Dr. Royce Hemlock. And
of course, these sleazebags get along.
Exactly. And in the teaser that me and Nathan saw, Nathan and I, it's on Reddit, right, Nathan?
Currently, till it's not.
Until it's not. So look it up on Reddit if you want to.
But you know, once something hits online, it's never going away.
Exactly. So we actually see him. It's like a dark, raining once again. He visits Hemlock, flanked by a lot of Imperial guards. And he says, it is imperative that this facility remains secure. Your brilliance is a great asset to the Empire. Which, of course, is Palpatine hyping people up. You know, he doesn't care about anybody besides himself. But I do like that he says it is imperative that this place remains secure. Because we know eventually it's not going to be secure as a Bad Batch. Eventually going to rescue Omega. But this is the thing Hemlock was saying in season 2. He was so confident in the security of his chances. I'm just waiting for the ball to drop and for it to be finally found out. See that spiral effect. Yeah, all members of the Bad Batch appear with Hunter addressing Omega, addressing Omega's capture at the hand of the Empire. Says, Hunter says, Omega's been waiting for us. I'm not making her wait another day. So Hunter, Wrecker, Echo, they're all on the mission to go save Omega as soon as possible. We see Omega and the Soul in Crosshair, both still in Imperial custody. Omega says, I'm not giving up Crosshair, and I won't leave you either. You're my brother. And Hunter replies, I am not them. So he's still not becoming part of the full dad, fatherly role yet, like the other Bad Batch.
Just let it happen.
Let it happen, Crosshair. Come on. That's a very fun dynamic that I'm excited to see. Crosshair and Omega.
And Tech, who's also captured, maybe.
He's dead. He's dead.
We don't know for sure.
But there's shots of Republic commandos, more of them, clones, Rex, and giant creatures. Wrecker even says, "Why is there always a huge monster?" And he drops a thermal detonator into one's mouth. Nice. And then Fennec Shan, Ming-Na Wen's character from Mandalorian, makes an appearance in Bad Batch season 3 once again. Wow. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff ahead.
I'm shocked how much they had prepared to go.
Me too. There was a lot of good stuff here, probably from the first half of the season alone. So a lot of monsters, a lot of chaos, a lot of Tantus in the next season. Very, very exciting. People were curious about the time jump because some people said Omega looked a little bit different because she had like a scientist look to her.
Mhm.
But I'm assuming. But then Molly Damon also said like she just had her hair tied back, so
Oh,
maybe a couple weeks, couple months, 2 or 3, maybe 4,
could be fun.
maybe 5.
I was gonna be bold and say 1 year, if she truly had a different character model.
I'm assuming months or weeks. Maybe the same time being season 1, season 2 was now long. It was just like what, 3 months between season 1 and season 2.
It depends. I don't know because we know Crosshair was on Camino for 32 rotations.
That's what I'm saying. He was there for a month, but then like
Time could have passed since that. He
Time
clearly
passed
was
since that.
situated on Coruscant.
so it's a couple months, maybe a year. I forget the time jump, but they were, or at least Omega looked a little bit older.
Mhm.
But yeah, so we'll see how long the time jump is. But overall, that's it. Marvel also had their panel. Not much, to be honest, was revealed there, but the big Marvel event coming out later this year is called the Dark Droids event, where some droids are droids, cyborgs, everything in between is going to be corrupted. We don't know their true intentions, but this is going to impact the Star Wars run. This is going to impact Dr. Aphra, bounty hunters, and the Darth Vader run. Darth Vader, who's half machine, half man. So I'm very curious to see, again, this is called Dark Droids. A mysterious new threat called the Scourge corrupts droids, cyborgs, and again, everything in between. And again, this takes place in between episodes 5 and 6. So one big summer event right after the conclusion of Hidden Empire, which was Kira's big event. So yeah, Marvel Comics has another big event coming. Bad Batch was another fun panel. Today was very good. Just for the final day panel, we had Marvel, Bad Batch, Visions, and we're going to Japan in 2025.
Yeah, that's one quick little discussion on that one. Japan, Evan. 2 years to get to Japan.
I'm going 100%.
I'm gonna do everything in my power to go for sure.
I looked up the dates: April 18th to the 20th. Only 3 days, which is short. In the past,
I would like
had 4 days and maybe 5. Have you had 5 days before?
20. Chicago was 5 days.
Chicago's 5 days. That's crazy.
I think
you
that was
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Thursday was like not even a real day though. It was like it was open, but it wasn't really like you couldn't really do. There wasn't any big panels on that Thursday one. I think right. It was just like the show stage was open. The show area was open.
Yeah, I mean, we primarily were like using it as our autograph photo op day.
Exactly. We met each other that day. So Thursday was pretty weak.
Which I think they should honestly bring back to like have a chill day so that you can just do, check out the full floor so you're not worried about bouncing between panels.
I agree. Chicago was peak. But now in 3 days, we're going to have to jam pack a lot of panels. So I'm nervous about it, but I'm confident that they'll. I'm semi-confident actually that they'll do it.
On the one hand, I was like thinking, like, I mean, will they have a lot? And it's like, yeah, they will. They got the movies and they got other shows, and they got.
Let's talk about
they have
it.
2 anniversaries to do.
Mando will have his next season 4, most likely in 2025. We'll have an Acolyte panel because Acolyte's coming out next year, but there's no celebration next year, so it'll be a chance for them to talk about what happened with Acolyte in 2024 and tease future seasons of Acolyte because I believe there will be. Let's see. Again, a Bad Batch panel going over season 3. They could have that. The publishing panel, again, High Republic, Marvel, Dark Horse, all publishing stuff. But then mostly the 30-year or what?
20th of Revenge of the Sith and the 10-year Force Awakens.
Which is great. So 2 big panels for that. And the big one, 2025 is the return of the next Star Wars movie, which is rumored to be the Daisy Ridley New Jedi Order movie. If that sticks, Daisy will be there for Force Awakens, and she'll be there to tease her upcoming project. And of course, they'll be teasing other Star Wars movies at the time. Probably more info on Filoni stuff, more info on Mangold stuff, if those directors stick, of course. Which hopefully they do. But yeah, just of course, more TV shows. What's going to be the next TV show after The Bad Batch? That's probably going to be revealed here.
Yeah, I imagine we're gonna get a new kickstart in a full animated series. I don't think Lucasfilm Animation is just gonna drop and just be like, yeah, we're just doing Tales.
We're just doing Tales and Visions.
Yeah, small scale.
No.
Again, like I think we've recognized before, like we'd either like, I mean, we beckon to the heavens, give us the young Ben Solo animation.
I would love that.
But if not that, I will gladly take some High Republic animation.
High Republic animation. The High Republic authors have always teased like we're seeding stuff for beyond Phase 3, which is very interesting. Whether that means more publishing, whether that means more animated projects, more live action projects like the Acolyte, more video games. High Republic can do a lot of different things. So I would love a High Republic animated series. But yeah, hopefully the next animated project just isn't in this in between 3 and 4, the rise of the Empire era. As much as I love the Bad Batch and it's really, really good, I just want something out of that era, please. Make it like post Return of the Jedi or before the prequel trilogy, please.
The Bad Batch has been a perfect send-off story for the whole era of the clones in the Clone Wars.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
I think we're definitely.
That's what made it special. It's like I was bummed it was gonna be in this era, but I'm like, the perspective of just the clones was something that was so undiscovered that it's a perfect way to do the series, and I'm glad that they're executing it as so. Wow, Nathan, fuck.
Yeah.
This was a long podcast, but I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Anything we missed, we'll talk about it in our next podcast. But
for sure, and I'm excited at the prospect of going to Japan. I'm going to try to learn Japanese, just to least I can do as a tourist. God damn it, ignorant tourist. But also I've always wanted to learn other languages, and Japanese has always been one of them, and this feels like it would only benefit me when I go there and trying to I know they have like English to Japanese for the signs, but it would make things smoother for some aspects. Also, I really like I know it's expensive as hell to even get there, but to that point, if it's so expensive to get there, what's the chance we're gonna get back there again anytime soon? So I want to do what we tend to do, at least what we did in California, which was like we came a day or two early to just enjoy the actual time, because we're in Japan, we gotta look at Japan.
Yeah, so look at the date. Like it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I can't take off work for an entire week, but
just do Wednesday, Thursday. Just have to be.
I might just do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Now, here is.
But then Monday, I'm gonna have huge jet lag, so I might take off Monday too.
Yeah, the thing that's really screwing with me and trying to plan this is the time zone of when you land. I'm still unsure. Like, what even day am I landing? Am I gonna lose a day that I was planning? It's just like you gotta really figure.
Going to Japan.
Because from what I was also
Japan's ahead of us right now. Japan is ahead of us right now.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people instantly think well, yeah, we just fly over the Pacific, but I hear they don't really do that because the curvature of the Earth makes the ocean a lot longer of a flight as opposed to going the other way. So it's
I never heard of
that
that.
was very brief Googling as I was trying to dive into this, but for currently just looking for a plane ticket a year out, because I can't get as far as 2. So looking at a year out, plane tickets are about $2,000.
Yeah, it's 1.5 to 1.9K.
Yeah,
that's just single tickets.
Evan, that's like a car.
Wow, jeez, you're going there. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's about how much my brother got for the tax refund.
Yeah,
but
that's funny. I was looking for what you guys were saying. You were hyped, and I saw Jalen. He was like, "Oh no."
I talked to him at home. He was like, "I don't know." I'm like, "Come on, we're going." Because the thing goes for teachers, we don't want to take off too much. So it's I want to go Wednesday, Thursday, but then I'm Monday I'm gonna have huge jet lag, so I want to have Monday off as well. So it's
sure.
I could just do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and stay an extra day in Japan. But I don't. It's crazy. Yeah. We'll discover. It's 2 years from now. I'll have enough for 2K in 2 years.
You never know.
I'm not gonna be broke. I'm not gonna have 3K in 2 years. But
It is funny how much of the chat was like, "We're gonna have to eat bread and water." It's like, you have 2 years.
I'm not gonna spend any money outside of food. I know that for sure. Food, I'm not buying unless it's like something interesting. I never really buy a lot of stuff there. I just get the posters that they give us at the panels.
Oh, you're talking about like what you spend while you're in town?
Yeah, like I don't spend a lot at the celebration area. I'd spend it on food.
Yeah, I don't even think I bought any like major souvenirs at this last celebration. Yeah, the big thing you got to worry about is I have no idea how much hotels will cost.
Yeah,
I got really scared. I scared myself in the last 24 hours because I was like remembering every time a celebration ends and it comes the following year, as soon as the event's over, you have 1 month before the next set of tickets go on sale for the next year. And I was like, I don't have the money. But then I remember it's 2 years off, and I'm like, okay, I think
they'll probably sell them next April.
Yeah. So that'll be exciting and daunting. And at this rate, do I make an attempt to go for the Jedi Pass? That will be sold out in minutes.
Jedi Pass is access to every panel, right?
I think it's access to every panel. It's like $800 though.
I'm doing it, Bob.
Bob, you have to pay $2,000 just for the plane. What is the hotel cost? Are you gonna buy one of those mini pods and just sleep in it?
Yes.
Let's go.
Oh boy. So yeah, that's about it though. Let's wrap this up.
All right. 1 a.m.
I gotta go to bed in 30 minutes. Jesus.
Yes, great. All right. Well, Emmy, where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter at HarrisEV9. Still reacting to stuff that's been happening with Star Wars. So if you want to see all my previous reactions over the weekend, find me there. Still watching a lot of anime. Demon Slayer came back yesterday. Beautiful episode. Ufotable had quite the animated showcase. They're one of the most beautiful animated studios of all time. And this episode just blew me away. New characters, new setting. I'm excited. So anime is great. TV is great. Just rolling.
Nice. You find me at _TimeBlazer, making a show called Time Blazer, which will hopefully be beginning season 3 by the time we're in Japan. Weird metrics to view. It's an interesting show. We're going to be dropping some stuff soon. Evan is both creator consultant as well as co-star, which I love that. Otherwise, follow me at _Nathan Rojas to see me stand Natasha Bordizzo currently. And that being said, if you enjoy this podcast, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe now, and ring that bell so you get future updates for all things Star Wars, as well as other podcasts you check out on the show. But we won't get into that. It's been 3 hours. Take enough of your time. Hope you have a great day. May the Force be with you always.
Bye-bye.